The eye of the observer, capable of seeing through the abilities of two geniuses, yet completely ineffective against this man. This gave the association deputy director quite a shock, for neither the association president nor the guild master had ever encountered such a situation. He was originally just an ordinary porter. In this era filled with rampaging monsters, humans who hadn't awakened any abilities were relegated to such roles. Since the appearance of the Abyss, countless monsters have invaded the human realm. To resist the monster invasion, humans began awakening special abilities. With this power alone, they repelled countless monsters and explored the Abyss. As a result, the level of awakened ability became the standard for judging an individual. As long as your level is high enough, you can live a good and comfortable life. But none of this had anything to do with Taehyun Kim, for at 35 years old, he couldn't even open his status window. At that moment, just after he had collected the spoils dropped by monsters, he discovered himself surrounded by corpses. Now only you remain. The giant monster before him whispered softly, 3 S-rank monster Asmodeus. Just as Taehyun Kim was about to attack it, he was incapacitated with an arm severed by a casual wave of its hand. Then a purple light instantly pierced through his skull. In an instant, past memories flashed before his eyes. His life had been filled with misfortune. Parents dead in a car accident, himself bullied for failing to awaken abilities. He was unquestionably a failure, but he wasn't willing to die so pathetically. At the moment his blood dripped down, he fulfilled the conditions for awakening an ability. The next second, a door slowly appeared before him. Then a white figure came into view. Meanwhile, the monster seemed frozen in time. As Taehyun Kim stood confused, the figure began to explain. He called himself the King, and was summoned here by the door Taehyun Kim had opened. From now on, he would bestow upon Taehyun Kim the king's omnipotence. He had chosen Taehyun Kim for his strong will and perseverance. The next moment, a white light flashed. Before Taehyun Kim could react, the figure murmured, "One day you will know everything. We will definitely meet again," accompanied by a flash of red light. When he opened his eyes again, he was greeted by a heavy slap. While he was still trying to figure out what was happening, a status window beside him caught his attention. Was it 16 years ago now? He couldn't help but burst into laughter. The next second, he threw a heavy punch at the short-haired man, sending him flying dozens of meters away. Since he could see the status window, it meant, "Now I too am an awakened." Meanwhile, 2 people nearby were swinging their fists at him. He sent them flying with just 1 punch and 1 kick. After all, throughout these 35 years, he had been constantly training his body and had mastered information about the Abyss, various monsters, and combat techniques. So against these untrained guys, he had victory in the bag. In no time, he had the 2 of them thoroughly subdued. But just then, Hyoksu was slowly getting to his feet. He activated his C-rank ability, Stone Skin, which turns his skin into hard stone. The next second, he threw a punch straight at Taehyun Kim's face. Taehyun Kim barely dodged to the side, but then Hyoksu leaped into the air and came down hard on the ground, but hit nothing. Meanwhile, Taehyun Kim instantly appeared behind him and threw a heavy punch at his face, only to be blocked by his stone skin. In Taehyun Kim's moment of surprise, Hyoksu delivered a powerful punch that sent Taehyun Kim flying dozens of meters. Taehyun Kim was now on the brink of death. "You're really too weak. Are you going to run away now? Or do you want to use a skill to struggle a bit more?" For all awakened ones, skills and level are crucial. F rank is about the same as ordinary people. If you're S rank, you can be called a monster-like existence, because their physical abilities and skills increase exponentially. What he possessed was not only a skill never seen before, but also the lowest F rank. Though he had no chance against Hyoksu with his C rank ability, he could feel that he would definitely win. Facing Taehyun Kim slowly getting to his feet, Hyoksu was shocked. Did this guy really awaken? Is this gluttony? He could feel magical power flowing within his body. The next second, Hyoksu swung his fist and fiercely attacked him. Taehyun Kim simply raised his right hand and 2 energies collided. Then the stone on Hyoksu's body began to slowly dissipate. As Taehyun Kim exerted force, in an instant, Hyoksu's ability was completely devoured. This should end it now. Then a prompt appeared. Gluttony is finished. Gluttony results self-level increased to 1 and added a new skill, Stone Skin. After dealing with the 3, the scene changed and he was sending the 3 to the school infirmary. After a brief treatment, he turned and left. Even he hadn't expected that he would awaken talent and defeat Hyoksu. Talent, gluttony, the level that couldn't be improved even with a lifetime of training in his previous life, now improved through a single battle. Although it was the lowest F rank, its power far exceeded C rank, and it could even steal others' talents. He was curious why the king would give him such power, and what was the reason for his return. But for now, the most important thing was to figure out the specific capabilities of gluttony. Since the death of his parents, he'd been living with his uncle. He was now planning to collect information about this type of talent, but what he saw made him freeze. A group of guys were standing in front of him. It was Jae-young. "But shouldn't you be at school?" Looking at the scattered paper boxes on the ground, Taehyun Kim instantly understood everything. This guy was actually hanging out with a bunch of thugs. The yellow-haired one said, "If you don't want to get beaten up, pretend nothing happened." The next second, Taehyun Kim threw a punch at him. While everyone was stunned, Taehyun Kim decisively raised his right hand to use the gluttony skill on him, but a prompt indicated it couldn't be used. Meanwhile, the yellow-haired one sent him flying with a straight punch. Then 3 people simultaneously activated their abilities. The next second, 3 energy blasts headed straight for Taehyun Kim, hitting him directly. A mere non-awakened dares to be so insolent. But at that moment, the gluttony skill successfully activated. Confirmed abilities, bind, poison, bleed. He had repelled the attack with an incredible power. Can he even nullify abilities? Then he knocked the attacker to the ground with one punch. Although he didn't know what happened, he could confirm that gluttony was indeed powerful. In no time, Taehyun Kim had them thoroughly convinced, and he learned two things from this. First, only awakened ones have a status window. Though he had recorded detailed information about awakened ones, not everything would be displayed. Second, gluttony is different from other skills. Mana isn't the only factor affecting the skill. Moreover, gluttony seems to have a passive effect. It can nullify status-altering type abilities. Whether these conjectures are correct would need to be confirmed through future tests. Meanwhile, his cousin suddenly knelt before him, expressing his regret for his actions and deciding to follow Taehyun Kim's footsteps from now on. This took Taehyun Kim by surprise, and there was still an important event to happen today. So Taehyun Kim immediately forgave his cousin. Then come with me to do something. Elsewhere, at a restricted area, people were showing shocked expressions. A gatebreak phenomenon was occurring. Gatebreak, when a passage connecting to the abyss suddenly opens, causing a large number of monsters to invade the human realm. It had been 10 years since the last such occurrence. Though the two were clearly panicking, he signaled them not to worry, because his talent was a B rank barrier, and this gatebreak was C rank. That meant the highest monster level would only be C, even if something unexpected happened. For them with B rank talents, it was a completely controllable situation. Meanwhile, the two were rushing toward the restricted area, but only Taehyun Kim knew deeply that this gatebreak wasn't simply C rank. Elsewhere, the commander noticed something wasn't right. How could these C rank monsters break through a B rank barrier? Just then, a large number of giant monsters suddenly poured in from the gatebreak. Clearly, the B rank barrier couldn't stop their advance. A rank monster, giant ogre. Before they could react, they were instantly consumed by a violent flame. Meanwhile, the cousin was curious how Taehyun Kim knew the gatebreak level would rise. To conceal his identity as a returner, Taehyun Kim told him it was intuition. Just then, a large group of monsters were frantically pouring towards the crowd. Remember what I asked you to do? Now is the best time. But what about you? Of course I'll handle them. Elsewhere, the higher-ups received notification that the current gatebreak had risen to a rank, and now only one A-rank awakened one remained to resolve this. A-rank talent, the Sword of Light, Hyunsu An. Scene change, Taehyun Kim was now blocking the monster attack. With just his gluttony talent, he quickly eradicated all surrounding monsters. He discovered that the activation of gluttony seemed related to fatigue value. When fatigue exceeded 70, the skill couldn't be activated. Most skills are activated based on mana, but this doesn't mean you only need to worry about mana. There's also fatigue. It increases when using skills. Higher fatigue leads to decreased skill power and loss of physical strength. But surprisingly, he could recover mana by absorbing dead monsters. And more importantly, his level had now reached D rank, with both gluttony and stone skin upgraded to D rank. The more he used gluttony, the stronger he became. At this rate, Taehyun Kim would eventually become the strongest in the world. Just as he was about to head towards his cousin, a huge monster descended from the sky. As Hyunsu An raised his Sword of Light, the next second, he swung it and instantly killed the monster. Surprisingly, he eliminated the A-rank monster so easily. It seems the hero who resolved the gatebreak event before his return was him. The Sword of Light, Hyunsu An, was as formidable as ever. But why was he here? Before Taehyun Kim's return, he should have had a fierce battle with Giant Ogre at the other end of the city. Meanwhile, a skill-sensing prompt appeared. The next second, a blade pierced through Hyunsu An's chest. He was extremely shocked. Finally caught you, Hyunsu An. Elsewhere, the cousin looked at the teacher in the infirmary deep in thought. His task was to ensure Na-young Choi's safety. After all, in his previous life, she was killed by monsters during the rescue process. So the cousin had to use his sleep skill to make her fall asleep, then move her to a safe place. As for the rest, he would handle it. And now he was curious why Taehyun Kim knew all this. Could he have awakened a talent to foresee the future? Scene change. Faced with what was happening before his eyes, even Taehyun Kim was extremely shocked. Hyunsu An shouted at him, "Who exactly are you?" As expected of an A-rank. B-rank villain, Sang-do-han, talent B-rank stealth. In this world, awakened ones involved in crimes are called malevolents, and among them, Sang-do-han is an extremely dangerous figure, but before his return, these two had never battled. Has the future changed because of my return? Meanwhile, Hyunsu An immediately raised his Sword of Light to strike at him, but the next second, a violent tremor came. Then an incredibly huge monster emerged from underground. It threw a punch at everyone. Seeing the situation change, Sang-do-han turned his attention to Taehyun Kim. "I didn't expect there to be an audience here, this is quite interesting." "Then die!" As Sang-do-han attacked him, he calmly used Stone Skin for defense, then kicked him flying. B-rank malevolent Sang-do-han. "You must be the notorious one they talk about. I'm pleased to meet you." Then the two engaged in a battle of attack and defense, but clearly the enemy's blade couldn't penetrate Taehyun Kim's stone skin. Though he didn't know why Taehyun Kim knew him, If Taehyun Kim was too confident, he would be making a big mistake, because unexpected things always happen. The next second, he used his stealth skill. Taehyun Kim could only swing his fists left and right for defense, but he still found a gap. Then a slash came down, cutting his arm. Guys like you, we've hunted countless. Those who think they have invincible skills always try to run when their weaknesses are exposed. One last piece of advice before you die: every skill has weaknesses. After a barrage of attacks, there was little stone left on Taehyun Kim's body. It seems stone skin couldn't block all attacks. Under continuous attacks, stone skin became fragile. Did this guy figure it out early? But as expected, Taehyun Kim's physical abilities were indeed extraordinary for a D rank. He could even engage in hand-to-hand combat with a B rank. Then it's time to end the test. Meanwhile, the enemy fiercely attacked him. There's a reason I fought you, because I want to steal your skill. The next second, he activated his stealth skill and circled around Taehyun Kim. Taehyun Kim just slightly raised his left hand. Didn't you say every skill has a weakness? After using gluttony multiple times, he discovered this problem. Surprisingly, no monster could escape gluttony. In other words, no matter where you run, you can't hide from gluttony. The next second, the enemy was devoured by him. Meanwhile, Hyun-Soo An was lying on the ground, dying. Against the giant's attack, he was powerless. At this crucial moment, Taehyun Kim instantly appeared and saved him. Lying down so soon? You've got it too easy. Scene change: Taehyun Kim brought his cousin back home. They were very concerned about the safety of the two. After all, such dangerous things had happened. Meanwhile, notifications were issued worldwide. The gate break phenomenon had been completely resolved, and those heroes had all received timely treatment. Faced with the incoming interviews, Hyun-Soo An painfully stated that another hero defeated the giant. However, since the body of the giant ogre wasn't found, people were still worried. Looking at the phone with no mention of him at all, Taehyun Kim finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then it's time to enter the next phase. Although he now had 3 skills, at his current level, it would be difficult to use all 3 simultaneously. Not only would mana be quickly depleted, but fatigue would also easily reach its limit. Therefore, the best solution was potions that could restore mana and reduce fatigue. But potions were extremely expensive, and exploring dungeons required permission. For this, Taehyun Kim had only one choice, which was to explore dungeons yet to be discovered. B-rank monster, Spider Sisters. If it's just simple B-rank monsters, he would need to absorb hundreds to level up. The next second, they launched an attack at Taehyun Kim. Faced with the huge spider silk ball, Taehyun Kim calmly used gluttony to defend. Then came the moment to absorb monsters. With Taehyun Kim's absorption, he gained another new skill: paralysis. Elsewhere, the scene shifted to the player association. Players can explore dungeons, clear dungeons, awakened ones who are authorized to use skills to achieve goals. Currently, each country has 5 major forces, including the strongest 4 guilds: the battle-focused Unbroken, the Battle Guild; the alchemy-focused Chemist, the Crafting Guild; the magic-focused Magicians, the Magic Guild; the information-gathering Nightwalker, the Information Guild; and the institution recognized by all players, including the 4 guilds, H Country Player Association, and those before him were Nightwalker's Guildmaster and S-rank player A Young-Yu, President of the Player Association, and S-rank player Jin Hui-ji. But currently, the most troublesome was the Malignant Guild. Members of the Malignant Guild all wore rings with 3 skulls. They looted and killed everywhere, and recently they had targeted players. But you didn't call me here for this, did you? Of course not. There's something I'd like to hear your opinion on. I remember you passed the player test when you were 19. So, do you think a high school student could defeat those monsters? Meanwhile, Taehyun Kim was contacting the Alchemy Guild because he wanted to purchase some potions. Shortly after the gatebreak incident, the school quickly reopened. During this period, Taehyun Kim had been constantly improving his physical fitness through training and clearing dungeons to accumulate magic stones. Legendary magic stones, a necessary product for making expensive potions. With magic stones accumulated over many days, Taehyun Kim successfully became a very important person of the Crafting Guild. Meanwhile, after days of training, all of Taehyun Kim's skills had been upgraded to C rank. Even his own level had been upgraded to C. But even so, he still had a long way to go. Now all classmates were shocked. After all, defeating Hyoksu and others would cause big problems. Just then, a group of people slowly approached Taehyun Kim. The newcomer was the boss of Hyoksu and others. S-rank awakened Jang Jae Lee, the 3rd-generation heir of the Taesin group. He once sponsored Taesin Academy and was also the boss of various school bullies. He was also the mastermind who instigated Hyoksu and others to bully Taehyun Kim. It's this guy. But what brings you here, you bastard? Hearing this, his followers immediately cursed loudly. But the next second, a fist sent him flying. You don't get to speak here. Then he pointed at Taehyun Kim. I know you defeated Hyoksu, but don't get too arrogant. You should clearly know who stands before you. So this is the power of an S-rank awakened? Indeed extraordinary. And now Taehyun Kim was curious. How would he respond to gluttony? Just then, a voice stopped them. It was Ayoung Lim. She was the Academy's recognized S-rank genius, with high knowledge and status. In the future, she would become an 2 seconds ranked player, but she had a bad flaw, which was her extremely stubborn personality. Once she made up her mind, it couldn't be changed. Faced with Ayong Lim's intervention, Zhang Jie showed some dissatisfaction, just as the two were about to fight in the classroom. The next second, Zhang Jie sensibly left. But then, he suddenly attacked Ayong Lim. Just as the two were about to battle, the broadcast announced the Player Association would hold a special lecture in the hall, requesting all students to immediately gather in the hall. It's the Player Association. After a moment's thought, Zhang Jie decided to head to the hall first. Now you should be safe, Taehyun Kim. Why are you still standing there? Didn't you hear we need to gather in the hall? Hearing this, Ayong Lim froze. Scene change. Everyone was discussing what the theme of this lecture would be. Meanwhile, the middle-aged man on stage began his self-introduction. I am Tai UK Go, and I am the Deputy Department Head of Human Resources at the Player Association. He came here for only 2 reasons. First, to provide educational training for the gatebreak phenomenon. Second, to inform them about changes to the Player Association test. As for what kind of future H-country Player Association would have, it was in the hands of these newcomers. After the director announced that the player exam had been changed, everyone started discussing. Then the director explained this move. Due to frequent gatebreak incidents recently, the number of dungeons and monsters had rapidly increased. The Player Association now faced a shortage of manpower, so from today, high school students would be allowed to join the Player Association. Hearing this, everyone was very shocked. They would select the best talents based on comprehensive data. Taehyun Kim immediately saw through his lie. Although this exam indeed allowed high school students to participate, the selection had already begun. That was through Tae UK Go's own skill, the eye of the observer, which could see everyone's ability values. Even when focusing, it could see others' status window. The director was very satisfied with this. Because the data here was much better than elsewhere, there were many who could become players. But what surprised him most were the 2 people before him. Although he had received a recommendation list from Nightwalker for an awakened one without training to have such high values, this was truly a treasure found. Just then, Zhang Jie raised his opinion. Since it was about the player exam, there was someone who shouldn't be here. Only awakened ones could participate in the player exam. That meant non-awakened ones like him had no right to be here. Strength isn't everything for a player. Awakening level, the ability to handle various emergencies, and extensive knowledge about the abyss. To become a qualified player, various abilities need to be tested, but all these exams are premised on being an awakened one. For non-awakened ones, this is like rubbing salt in the wound. Taehyun Kim knew well that everything Zhang Jie did was just to confirm whether he had awakened an ability. Although Ayong Lim wanted to stop his behavior, thinking that Taehyun Kim wouldn't appreciate it, she gave up the idea. Faced with the aggressive Zhang Jie, Taehyun Kim showed no concern, as he had already thought of a countermeasure. It's not necessary to let him see with his own eyes to get the qualification to participate in the exam. The director was surprised. He didn't expect an S-rank awakened to bully a weak person. But when he used the eye of the observer on Taehyun Kim, he was shocked, because he couldn't see through Taehyun Kim's ability values. Just then Taehyun Kim said, if non-awakened ones don't need to participate, then I choose to leave here voluntarily. The director was still very shocked. Neither the association president nor guildmaster Young Yu had ever had this happen to them. Yet it occurred with this kid. Watching Taehyun Kim walk further away, the director couldn't see through his values no matter what. With Taehyun Kim's contemptuous smile, the values were confirmed, but it made him freeze on the spot, because his value was as high as 5,096. Scene change, Taehyun Kim was searching for clues about the king. However, Zhang Jie's minions found him and indicated he should come along. What if I refuse? You have an aunt who runs a restaurant, right? Hearing this, Taehyun Kim's eyes instantly sharpened. If you don't obey, you'll drag others down. The next second, a loud crash was heard. The library instantly became a mess. I'll ask you one last time. Where is Zhang Jie? After learning the location of Zhang Jie, at this moment, Taehyun Kim arrives at an indoor facility, while the bald bodyguard beside him appears extremely surprised, because from the beginning, he had been using his abnormal state skill, but it had no effect on Taehyun Kim, and this level of resistance requires at least an A-rank awakener. Sure enough, just as Zhang Jie had guessed, he had awakened his abilities. The reason Zhang Jie called him here was actually to recruit him to join his faction. He plans to establish his own guild after graduation. For this, he needs a large number of excellent talents. Not third-rate ones like Hyuk-soo-bae, but someone like you. He then gestured to Taehyun Kim, suggesting they forget about past unpleasantness and become his loyal subordinate. That way, you and your family will live a good life. But Taehyun Kim sneered at this. Neither wealth nor fame was what he wanted, and you will pay a terrible price for crossing the line. Seeing that Taehyun Kim was very uncooperative, Zhang Jie immediately unleashed a fierce flame. At the same time, the bodyguard nearby quickly built a barrier. This way, people outside wouldn't notice the commotion inside. Then both sides launched particularly fierce attacks, as they both delivered full power strikes. The next second, powerful forces instantly separated them. Before Taehyun Kim could react, he was knocked down by Zhang Jie's whip kick. In an instant, blood spurted from his mouth. Now you finally know your place. Faced with everything before him, the bald bodyguard fell into deep thought. That kid should be an A-rank S-rank awakener with body enhancement skills. He possesses strong combat ability and mental power. Ordinary people wouldn't be his match. But unfortunately, today he met him. The S-rank awakener known as the Talent Crystal, Jongjae Lee. Taehyun Kim could never defeat him. But just then, the bodyguard noticed something unusual, because Taehyun Kim gradually matched Jongjae Lee's speed, and even landed a punch directly on Jongjae Lee's face, sending him flying dozens of meters away. Even the bodyguard found it hard to believe that the young master was being beaten so helplessly. At this point, Jongjae Lee also realized something was wrong, because his body couldn't move at all. What's going on? Could it be that his skill isn't combat enhancement? It seems to have finally taken effect. Originally, Taehyun Kim had gained 3 skills through gluttony, stone skin, stealth, and paralysis. But initially, he didn't use all his skills. After all, C-rank paralysis couldn't penetrate an S-rank awakener's resistance, and the flame attacks had a wide range, so he couldn't use stealth. Finally, gluttony, as his trump card, couldn't be used carelessly, so he chose the safest method, which was to increase the paralysis toxin on Jongjae Lee through close combat. By continuously attacking and letting the toxin seep in, even S-rank awakeners couldn't resist, eventually creating a situation where the paralysis toxin couldn't be resisted. Watching Taehyun Kim slowly approach, the bodyguard was utterly shocked. This guy is simply a genius, actually overcoming the level difference through head-on combat. However, the battle wasn't over yet. Jongjae Lee murmured, "I admit you're indeed strong, but I won't be defeated by someone like you." Then he pulled out a magic stone. The next second, he crushed it on the spot. A fire giant suddenly appeared before Taehyun Kim. Now I'm getting serious. Faced with such a massive fire giant, Taehyun Kim could only constantly dodge. As the giant's fiery fist came at him, Taehyun Kim leaped into the air, then swung his fist to attack. But the giant immediately spat out a huge fireball. The next second, 2 powerful forces collided. However, the flame's power was slightly superior. The stone's skin was instantly shattered. Followed by a loud noise, Taehyun Kim was blasted dozens of meters away. Meanwhile, the bodyguard could see at a glance that this was the young master's S-rank skill, Heart of Flame, but at the young master's current level, he couldn't unleash the skill's true power. And he suddenly remembered the magic stone the young master had just used, a mana amplification stone. This item was refined from monster hearts. It has the ability to instantly boost magic power. Although this thing allows him to use true S-rank skills, due to the overwhelming magical power, one misstep could lead to self-destruction. However, Jongjae Lee ignored the bodyguard's warning. He even used a fire arrow to silence him. After all, a mere bodyguard had no right to command him. Just then, Taehyun Kim had barely gotten to his feet when he suffered a devastating blow from the fire fist. Looking at Taehyun Kim lying motionless, Jongjae Lee had fallen into a frenzy. Seeing this situation, the bodyguard immediately rushed toward Taehyun Kim and signaled that if he was still alive, he should leave quickly. But unexpectedly, the response was a heavy punch. "The battle isn't over. How could I possibly run away?" Then he immediately drank a bunch of recovery potions. Indeed, worthy of being recognized by me as an S-rank awakener. If that's the case, I'll have to get serious too. Meanwhile, Director Tae UK Go reported the school situation to President Jin Hui Ji. He appeared very shocked. Are these values all real? Of course, Jongjae Lee is 1900, Ayong Lim is 2300. They're both S-rank awakeners. Without training, they're already comparable to A-rank players. This level is equivalent to J Country's The Saint level. The Saint, one of J Country's main players, a monster whose initial awakening data exceeded 2500, and someone like Taehyun Kim is simply a monster among monsters. Could it be his misconception? Either way, Director Tae UK Go needed to confirm personally. Meanwhile, the bald bodyguard was looking on in disbelief, because Taehyun Kim was continuously absorbing Jongjae Lee's flames. Even Jongjae Lee couldn't believe what was happening before him. He actually lost to someone like Taehyun Kim, and he expressed his dissatisfaction very reluctantly, saying he was the heir to the Taesin group, an S-rank awakener. Faced with Jongjae Lee's all-out attack, Taehyun Kim seemed completely unconcerned. "What does your identity have to do with me? I am Taehyun Kim, possessor of the King's power." After Taehyun Kim used King's power, countless red energies instantly engulfed Jongjae Lee, accompanied by a loud explosion. The gymnasium instantly turned into a complete mess, and Jongjae Lee collapsed helplessly on the ground. But Taehyun Kim was quite surprised. A-rank player, Hundo Sale. Taehyun Kim didn't expect that when he used his gluttony skill, Hundo Sale could forcibly pull Jongjae Lee out. But fortunately, Taehyun Kim had acquired his skill. Just then, the bodyguard stated that Jongjae Lee was the heir to the Taesin group, and continuing like this would cause big problems. But Taehyun Kim remained very calm. "Do you think I'm the kind of person who's afraid of causing trouble?" However, he didn't plan to kill Jongjae Lee, but something must be exchanged for his life. Since he's the heir to the Taesin group, his life is worth at least 10 billion. Meanwhile, the loud noise from the gymnasium caught everyone's attention. Ayong Lim immediately recognized that the magic power and flames were Jongjae Lee's abilities. Could he be fighting with Taehyun Kim? Then she hurriedly ran towards the gymnasium. At this moment, she deeply regretted. She should have stopped Jongjae Lee's actions back then. "Please, Taehyun Kim, be safe." Scene change. Ayong Lim now looks utterly incredulous. "You came just in time. I was just looking for someone to move him to the infirmary." As she was about to ask what had happened, Taehyun Kim suggested he might have fallen down the stairs, and instructed her not to let anyone know he had been there. Then he he turned and left. Elsewhere, Taehyun Kim finally breathed a sigh of relief. At least everything had been resolved. But what is this thing? Charm value increased by 5 points. New skill, Heart of the Sovereign, C rank. Isn't charm an attribute exclusive to entertainers? Why did it appear after consuming Jungjae Lee and not Heart of Flame? Heart of the Sovereign, able to enhance team members' abilities. Did Jungjae Lee have such a skill? But this is amazing. This kind of skill is extremely rare. A skill level that can affect the entire team, and it can be combined with all skills. Never thought I'd encounter something so good. Just then, several cars suddenly stopped in front of Taehyun Kim. The arrival was director Tae Go from the Player Association. Although he had many questions for Taehyun Kim, what he was most curious about now was, what exactly did you do in the gymnasium just now? Meanwhile, the bald bodyguard reported everything to the president of the Taeson group. Injured my son and wants me to buy his life? That's quite interesting. Then the president agreed to Taehyun Kim's request. But since things had developed to this point, I also need to regain my dignity. With a snap of his fingers, 2 figures suddenly appeared before him. The bodyguard was greatly alarmed, but the opponent is just a child. Shut up, I hate useless people. This person is the president of the Taeson group, S-rank player, Jong-soo Lee. Elsewhere, facing the director's question, Taehyun Kim appeared very confused. Was he referring to the commotion in the gymnasium just now, or what happened in the lecture hall earlier? But he probably wouldn't come looking for me over such a small matter. So Taehyun Kim tentatively asked, are you referring to the explosion that just happened? The director denied this. Other departments will handle such small matters. Hearing this, Taehyun Kim immediately became confident. Then he straightforwardly said, since you've come to find me, it must be to give me an invitation for the player exam, right? Why are you so certain? Because the answer is already obvious, isn't it? After Taehyun Kim displayed his full power, everyone stood stunned, because his value was even higher than before. This meant that the previous values were also real. Who exactly is this guy? Scene change, Taehyun Kim told his cousin about participating in the player exam. Hearing this, he was immediately stunned. To get back to the point, the Taeson group should resolve what happened in the gymnasium, thus reducing Tae Go's suspicion of Taehyun Kim. Now he should prepare well for the player exam a month later. Just then, a phone call caught his attention. Meanwhile, 2 people were furtively watching Taehyun Kim's home. They were puzzled why the association's players would protect a high school student. It seems he should be a candidate participating in this exam. The arrivers were the assassin duo known as the Black and White brothers. Black with stealth and strengthening abilities, White with stealth skill. And next he would let Taehyun Kim know what a true awakener is. Just then, a muffled sound came from behind. Damn it, who are you? But the response was an attack. I am the high school student you mentioned several hours earlier. The bodyguard was shocked after hearing Taehyun Kim's conditions. After all, 10 billion wasn't a small matter he could decide casually. Of course, Taehyun Kim knew this. He just hoped the bodyguard could try his best to accomplish this. And to prevent the bodyguard from betraying him, he required the bodyguard to wear this thing. Awakener's Covenant, a contract method made through Awakener's magic power. Violating it would result in eternal punishment. Besides the 10 billion just now, the bodyguard also needed to handle the gymnasium incident as best he could. If the other party wanted revenge, he must inform in advance. And Taehyun Kim learned about the assassin's arrival through the bodyguard's report. Just then, facing the enemy's fierce attack, Taehyun Kim dodged with ease. The next second, Taehyun Kim saw his chance and threw a powerful punch, but it was easily avoided. Then he slammed down hard toward Taehyun Kim, but missed. While he was momentarily stunned, Taehyun Kim had already instantly appeared above his head. It seems apart from stealth, you don't have any other abilities. Elsewhere, Nightwalker was discussing the player exam with the association president, and he heard something interesting. Apparently, director Tae Go left all the S-rank awakeners behind to personally contact a child. Aren't you curious about how strong he must be to make the director take action personally? Meanwhile, the two had been thoroughly subdued by Taehyun Kim, but he stared at the red light in his hand, lost in thought. Due to body overload, gluttony cannot be used. A moment later, Taehyun Kim notified the director to come for cleanup. But do you know who attacked? You? He acted as if he didn't know. After all, even if he told them, they couldn't resolve the matter. Has the list of participants been leaked? Looks like we need to notify others to strengthen protective measures. And what worried Taehyun Kim most was the inability to use gluttony. It seems he still needs to improve his ability values. But the method to improve ability values is either through consuming monsters to increase awakening level, or through consuming awakeners to improve awakening level, but both require using the gluttony skill. Damn, is there only one way left? At this moment, he turned and went to the country's best gym. But this isn't a place just anyone can casually enter. Faced with the woman's questioning, Taehyun Kim immediately took out the only black card he had, and she immediately recognized it as the Alchemist's VIP card, one of the 4 major guilds. Why would someone like him possess such a thing? And if they rashly let them in, it might cause major problems. Just then, a voice called out to them. The arrival was a B-rank fitness instructor from the gym, known as the Strongest Steel, Gang Shol Chogang. He was frantically showing off his muscles. However, Taehyun Kim paid no attention to him. This provoked his displeasure. Are you stronger than me? If you don't believe it, why not make a bet with me? The loser covers the gym's membership fee for a year. Hearing this, he immediately immediately agreed. Scene change. The two put on virtual equipment. This is a virtual training project, Virtual Porter. It's a replica of the Abyss. Participants need to carry the heaviest luggage while defeating B-rank monsters and reaching the final destination in the shortest time. This is usually the most popular competition method in the gym. Meanwhile, the strongest steel began action first, faced with the huge monster before him. With just one punch, he killed the monster on the spot, and the weight he carried exceeded Taehyun Kim's imagination. If this continued, the gym's one-year membership fee would be easily attained. But just then, a bright light caught his attention. The next second, a figure flashed by. Taehyun Kim instantly turned the situation around. Faced with the monsters coming at him, he still appeared very composed. As he delivered a full power strike, all the monsters instantly vanished. This left the strongest steel dumbfounded. A moment later, the strongest steel finally reached the destination. At this moment, Taehyun Kim muttered, "This was a good match, but I hope you can keep your promise." Scene change. Time quickly arrived at the day of the player exam, and talented individuals of all different age groups from around the country came here. Among the most notable awakeners were the nearly invincible in close combat, A-rank Iron Fist, Jong Yuke Hong, who is said to be unbeatable in hand-to-hand combat. A talented individual with excellent combat abilities, A-rank Druid, Gilson Lee, whose excellent combat intuition makes him a threat even to S-ranks. Known as the unmatched God of Thunder, S-rank, Yunbok Shin, the man said to outmatch everyone. And the candidate with the highest awakening data in this exam, the Saint-level Rising Star, S-rank, Ayong Lim, etc. Many other talented individuals were participating in this exam. Just then, a newcomer was complaining about the interview not going well. Psy Economy rookie reporter, Reporter Kim. If she missed this interview, she would lose this hard-earned job, as she was at a loss about what to do. Taehyun Kim slowly appeared in her vision. Damn, with so many people, how can participants get in? This is really troublesome. So Reporter Kim pulled Taehyun Kim aside for an interview. After completing the interview, Taehyun Kim hurriedly rushed to the exam venue, and the venue was particularly lively with crowds of people. Just then, Ayong Lim wore a surprised expression because she hadn't expected to encounter Taehyun Kim here, and he seemed to have undergone certain changes, to which Taehyun Kim replied that he had just exercised a little. Although Ayong Lim had heard that Taehyun Kim had awakened his abilities, in just 1 month, his changes were surprisingly significant. Just as she wanted to ask what exactly happened in the gymnasium last time, a broadcast sounded, "Young people shouldering the future, welcome. Here we will select those suitable to become players from among the awakeners. The rule of the first exam is collection. Everyone has a number tag on their chest. Those who lose their numbers will be immediately eliminated, and those with 5 number tags will stand out. The time limit is 1 hour." The next second, a tremor came through the venue, and the entire competition field underwent earth-shattering changes. The exam allows all means, but no lethal harm. Now the exam officially begins, and everyone had already decided on their first target. That was the S-rank awakener, Ayong Lim. But clearly they underestimated her strength. With just one strike, everyone was instantly knocked to the ground. Even the examiners watching on the screen marveled at this. As expected of the Saint-level Rising Star, her strength is truly extraordinary. But other candidates were all better than last year's, and among them, the most anticipated, was the S-rank awakener known as the unmatched God of Thunder, Yunbok Shin. Because 20 minutes of the exam had passed, yet still, no one could get near him. As people were discussing who between Ayong Lim and him was superior, the director was watching Taehyun Kim's movements. After all, he had shown such amazing data. If it were him, he would certainly handle this exam. Show your full strength, Taehyun Kim. However, he was startled by the scene before him, because Taehyun Kim was fighting back and forth with a rank awakener Jong Yuke Hong. Did I misjudge? Taehyun Kim is actually being suppressed by an A-rank awakener, and he hasn't dodged his attacks even once. But he soon understood Taehyun Kim's approach. Meanwhile, the two were fighting intensely. After enduring Jong Wukong's attacks one after another, he couldn't help but ask Taehyun Kim, "Stone skin is inherently inferior to steel, and you deliberately keep taking hits. What exactly are you planning?" Just then, Taehyun Kim suddenly erupted with magical power. It seems taking hits was useful after all. After a month of training, the restriction on gluttony still hadn't been lifted, meaning his ability values were still insufficient. The method to improve ability values is to push the body as close to its limits as possible. Fighting with all one's might is the best training method. So for him, his training never ended. As he delivered a full power strike, Jong Yuke Hong fell to the ground. With this, Taehyun Kim finally got his second number tag. On screen, Tae-Yu-K burst into laughter. He really isn't a normal person. Using such a training method in such a large-scale battle, he truly is surprising. But now comes the key point. If he's fighting for ability values, then the previous battle has already consumed too much energy. To conserve energy, he should specifically seek out the weak. However, the next second, the director appeared extremely shocked. Meanwhile, everyone expressed concern at the scene before them. Because a mere C-rank awakener actually wanted to challenge an S-rank, Taehyun Kim now stood opposite Yunbok Shin. At this point, he already possessed 147 number tags. Looking at Yunbok Shin with his numerous number tags, Taehyun Kim made a bold decision. "Next, I just need to defeat you." After Taehyun Kim decided on his target, both sides launched particularly fierce attacks. Faced with the oncoming lightning power, Taehyun Kim very nimbly dodged it, with a point of the Thunder God's finger. Another wave of lightning attacked Taehyun Kim, but he easily avoided it. Meanwhile, Taehyun Kim immediately used Stone Skin to kick at the Thunder God, but it didn't cause him any harm. However, he still gave Taehyun Kim some praise. After all, there weren't many who could get close to him. With a loud boom, Taehyun Kim was instantly sent flying. Even he hadn't expected that Yeonbok Shin, known as the Thunder God, would be so difficult to deal with. The powerful lightning power around his body not only blocked all attacks, but its strong power allowed him to realize both close and ranged combat. At this moment, Taehyun Kim was thinking about how, without being able to use Gluttony, he should break through his defense. Just then, Yeonbok Shin actively launched an attack towards Taehyun Kim. Taehyun Kim dodged by sidestepping, but unexpectedly his path was blocked by a kick, followed by Yeonbok Shin's continuous strikes. He had no choice but to retreat to avoid. But just then, with a wave of his hands, countless lightning powers poured down on Taehyun Kim. At this point, Yeonbok Shin continuously taunted him. The next second, Taehyun Kim immediately used his Stone Skin skill. Then an enormous stone fist went straight towards the Thunder God, but with just a raise of his hand, he instantly destroyed it. With a burst of bright light, Taehyun Kim momentarily lost his vision. At this time, the Thunder God was raising his right hand high. The next second, an incredibly powerful lightning strike hit Taehyun Kim, but Taehyun Kim took it with sheer willpower. Even Yeonbok Shin found this very surprising. He had thought all participants were third-rate. The only one who could match him was Aeong Lim, but what he hadn't expected was that such a person existed. Just then, a stone pebble flew towards his face, hitting him squarely on the forehead. While he was momentarily stunned, Taehyun Kim had already instantly appeared behind him. With Taehyun Kim's full-force swing, countless stone pebbles hit the Thunder God. He was puzzled why Taehyun Kim's attack was effective. Indeed, the Stone Skin skill couldn't penetrate his lightning defense. Even the highest-level Stone Skin would be completely shattered upon contact with lightning. But the player exam venue was different because it used special materials that could withstand players' power. Although it might break, it would never disappear. So he only needed to use this thing as a weapon to successfully break through the Thunder God's defense. As for you, Yeonbok Shin, you're no match for me. After Taehyun Kim defeated Yeonbok Shin with one punch, people began discussing a C rank actually took down an S rank awakener. Who exactly is this Taehyun Kim? Meanwhile, the director finally relaxed. He really is an impressive fellow. The next second, the director's brows furrowed again. Meanwhile, looking at the number tags scattered on the ground before him, now he just needed to wait for the exam to end. Just then, an ice spike flew towards his face. Taehyun Kim leaped to avoid it, and he was very puzzled. Why would ice suddenly appear? But what happened next shocked him beyond belief. Countless ice flowers instantly enveloped the arena. In just moments, a massive space formed. At this time, Aeong Lim was slowly walking toward him. Taehyun Kim was astonished. Why had she suddenly appeared here? Had she been watching this match for a long time? Just then, Aeong Lim shared her thoughts on what she had witnessed. She believed that with great power comes great responsibility, and using abilities without responsibility was nothing but barbaric behavior. Taehyun Kim, you are indeed strong. Even I didn't expect you would defeat Yeonbok Shin in this manner. So you used this same method to defeat Jung Jae Lee, right? The next second, huge ice pillars descended from above, followed by countless more ice pillars falling down. Taehyun Kim could only desperately dodge when faced with this scene. Just then, Aeong Lim delivered a flying kick, instantly sending Taehyun Kim flying. She had once trusted Taehyun Kim, believed he was different from Jung Jae Lee, and wouldn't act recklessly for personal gain. But after watching Taehyun Kim's battle, she understood everything. Whether it was Jung Jae Lee or Hyoksu, all the injuries they sustained were caused by Taehyun Kim. As a massive ice pillar rose from the ground, Taehyun Kim crashed heavily onto the ground. It was because Taehyun Kim abused his powers that they were still lying in hospital beds. But that was also their own fault, so she wouldn't report Taehyun Kim's behavior. However, she hoped Taehyun would give up on the player exam because he wasn't qualified to become a player. Taehyun Kim responded to this. Someone who couldn't even stop Jung Jae Lee is talking about power and responsibility? In the end, all you want to do is eliminate me. Are you afraid of my power? Hearing this, Aeong Lim immediately made up her mind. In the next second, as she slowly gathered her magic, a giant frost hammer appeared in her hands. Taehyun Kim, this is where you end. Faced with such powerful magic, even Taehyun didn't know what to do. After experiencing Stone Skin hundreds of times, he had already lost that ability, and stealth was completely useless against this large-scale attack. Although Heart of the Sovereign was fully activated, it was of no use in this situation. Worst of all, Gluttony still couldn't be activated, and due to insufficient stamina, he couldn't inject paralysis poison during combat. Now there was only one option left. At this moment, Taehyun Kim rushed toward Aeong Lim first. As Aeong Lim swung a powerful strike, a flash of white light illuminated the entire arena. Just as everyone wondered about the outcome, the scene before them left everyone stunned. Simultaneously, as the mist dissipated, the figures of the two appeared before them. Was it a kiss? After this unexpected scene. No one would have thought that when Ayoung Lim swung her ice hammer, Taehyun Kim would lunge toward her. The reason for kissing her was solely to inject paralysis poison. When releasing status effect skills, delivering them at close range internally greatly increases the success rate. So Taehyun made her swallow blood containing paralysis poison. Considering the natural resistance of S-rank awakeners, this was a desperate gamble. Fortunately, the plan worked. Just then, an announcement sounded in the arena. The first round of the player exam has ended. Please remain in place, examinees. After the exam concluded, all injured examinees promptly received treatment. Although Ayoung Lim was affected by paralysis poison, she didn't lose her number, so she passed the player exam. As for Taehyun Kim, though he only obtained 7 numbers, because he defeated Yeonbok Shin and Ayoung Lim, he became the focus of this player exam. This healing is quite effective. Should I use Gluttony to absorb one? Just then, Yeonbok Shin suddenly launched an attack against Taehyun Kim. Even he hadn't expected Yeonbok would appear here. Now, you won't be able to use those underhanded tactics. As he exerted his strength, the two were instantly pushed apart. Nearby onlookers watched them with excitement. In the next second, lightning suddenly struck them. Now, let's have a fair fight. Just as the battle between the two was about to erupt, an invisible force suddenly came, immediately pressing Yeonbok to the ground. He was now howling in pain. Taehyun Kim wore an expression of disbelief. At this moment, a man with glasses slowly walked toward them. Damn it, can't you two stay quiet? Taehyun Kim recognized him immediately. He was S-rank player Songjin Park, one of the most outstanding players in the Players Association, destined to become a double S-rank player. He was surprised that someone could still stand before him. As he exerted his power, the weight on Taehyun's body continued to increase. Even he hadn't imagined the power gap between S-rank awakeners and players would be so vast. Seongjin Park showed some surprise, as even veteran players found this level of pressure hard to endure. Just as he was about to apply more force, a doctor nearby quickly stopped his actions. After receiving a lecture from the doctor, he asked for Taehyun Kim's name. Taehyun Kim responded, "My name is Taehyun Kim, so you're the rising star who defeated 2 S ranks. That's very interesting. Your goal must be to become an S-rank player, right? I'll be waiting for you at the finish line." Scene change, everyone now faced the second player exam. The content of this exam was very simple. They would enter a D-rank dungeon through the gate behind him. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. A real dungeon? The rules were every 5 examinees would form a team, led by a player acting as examiner, to clear the dungeon. Once inside, every action of the examinees would be evaluated, covering combat, observation, knowledge, and medical support. The association would provide necessary weapons and consumables. Now, please enter the gate in order. Taehyun Kim appeared relaxed, as having a player present meant major problems were unlikely, unless they encountered the double dungeon Apocalypto. That was an S-rank dungeon, initially discovered inside a D-rank dungeon during a player exam. The exam team was wiped out immediately upon entering, which led to many undiscovered dungeons being banned from entry. If only Taehyun Kim could prevent it in advance, but who would believe him? Besides, he had his own matters to attend to. As long as Taehyun Kim wasn't the first to discover the double dungeon, he would surely find a way to survive. After Taehyun Kim entered the dungeon, looking at the 5 people standing before him, he remained silent for a long time, because the proctor of the second exam round was a rank player Dohak Ma, who was also the first person to discover the double dungeon. Scene change, everyone who entered the dungeon was full of energy. In no time, they completely eliminated the monsters before them. Even the examiner gave them high praise. Although this is your first real combat, everyone performed exceptionally well. Becoming players is just a matter of time. Taehyun Kim was incredulous. Why did he have to end up in this squad? There was no mistake. The ring worn by Dohak Ma was the item belonging to the first person who discovered the double dungeon. The Ring of the Sage, unique grade, all attribute values increased tenfold. The double dungeon was S rank, and Taehyun Kim, unable to use his gluttony skill, would certainly face death if he encountered it. He had to find a way to prevent them from discovering the double dungeon. The opportunity soon presented itself, as everyone was debating which path to take. Taehyun Kim ran toward the right path first. This startled the examiner, as acting independently could be dangerous. But to prevent them from discovering the double dungeon, Taehyun Kim had no choice but to take this desperate measure. Soon he would regret his decision. A spatial gate suddenly appeared before everyone. Why was there another spatial gate inside the dungeon? Taehyun Kim recognized it immediately. This was the double dungeon Apocalypto. Damn it, I can't believe we still ended up here despite all the detours. As his teammate prepared to step forward and investigate, Taehyun Kim immediately stopped him. Wasn't it strange for a new entrance to appear inside a dungeon? In this special situation, shouldn't they report to the association first? Of course, even the examiner had never encountered such a situation. But after a moment's thought, he decided to enter and explore first. The magical energy emitted from the entrance was only D rank, and even if something went wrong, there was an A rank player present. Moreover, if it was indeed a special event, exploring it would earn them extra points. This shocked Taehyun Kim. But doesn't this violate protocols? But the examiner rebuked him. Taehyun Kim, someone who doesn't even understand teamwork, has the right to say such things. Hearing this, everyone immediately began criticizing Taehyun Kim. As the examiner snapped his his fingers. A flash of white light appeared. When Taehyun Kim opened his eyes again, he was startled by the scene before him, because this place didn't look like a D-rank dungeon. Looking at the enormous statue standing before them, everyone started discussing among themselves. At this moment, Taehyun Kim signaled them to be quiet, because they had come. Then two figures slowly appeared before them. When they saw their true forms, everyone fell into panic. These were A-rank monsters, Death Knights. The examiner immediately signaled everyone to prepare for battle. In the next second, the monsters launched an attack toward them. Everyone dodged to the side. Then the examiner began assigning tasks. He would use magic to contain the enemy. Everyone else would seize opportunities to inflict damage, and the person with the shield needed to stand at the front to block the monster's attacks. After a brief effort, they finally eliminated the A-rank monster. Even they hadn't expected to defeat an A-rank monster, just as they were immersed in the joy of victory. The next second, they froze in place, because a new wave of Death Knights was slowly approaching them. Everyone was shocked, but Taehyun Kim noticed something wasn't right. After clearing another wave of monsters, everyone was now gasping for breath, but the number of monsters hadn't decreased. For every wave they eliminated, twice as many would appear next. At this rate, everyone would eventually die here. At this point, Taehyun Kim said he had noticed something strange. The examiner was confused. What's with this guy? How can he not be tired after fighting for so long? He also found this door very dangerous. What they didn't know was that without the heart of the sovereign skill enhancing their abilities, everyone would have perished long ago. So what do you find strange? Although it was just his speculation, they probably weren't Death Knights. Hearing this, everyone couldn't accept it. What he needed to do next was to verify it himself. He swung his great sword and charged toward the monsters. Facing the enemy's encirclement, he leaped into the air, then raised his great sword and flung it with all his might at the statue. With a loud crash, the statue shattered. Simultaneously, the surrounding Death Knights instantly vanished. Then the entire scene underwent a dramatic transformation. Was this an illusion? An illusion trap designed to make us fight fake enemies to drain our stamina. Everyone found this hard to accept. They had fought for so long only to face illusions. But the examiner was curious. How did Taehyun Kim know it was a trap without ever having fought Death Knights? Just intuition. Death Knights wouldn't be this weak. Then Taehyun Kim urged everyone, let's leave quickly or you'll all die here. However, despite destroying the illusion trap, the situation didn't improve. The appearance of the double dungeon had completely altered the dungeon's internal space, and due to the previous battle, everyone was now covered in wounds. Their only hope was to find the dungeon's exit. After a brief search, they finally found a large door. Although opening it carried certain risks, they had no other choice. As the door slowly opened, the examiner was shocked, because a Death Knight was kneeling inside the door. Just as everyone thought it was over, countless Death Knights slowly appeared before them. Then a light of fire rose, instantly illuminating the entire room. Everyone's bodies trembled uncontrollably, because what they saw were countless Death Knights. Just then, a voice sounded from ahead. It was the Death Knight Lord. Cursed humans, you finally reached here. Now, let's begin the duel. Looking at the mighty battle in front of them, everyone immediately fell into panic. As Taehyun Kim tried to calm them down, the three people behind him had already fled in terror. They would rather return to where they came from than die here. But then the Death Knight swung a powerful blow toward them, severely wounding them. The two were shocked by what they saw. Taehyun Kim shouted to Do-hak Ma, I'll buy time, you go find the exit. But in the next second, Do-hak Ma sent him flying out the door, then used magic to create a barrier wall. Taehyun Kim couldn't understand why he did this. He mumbled to himself. He had always wanted to become an S-rank player, but no matter how hard he worked to improve himself, he only seemed to get further from his goal. He thought his dream would come true if he solved the double dungeon, but that was too simplistic. Facing the Death Knight's attack, he used an X-slash with a wave of his hand, killing it. He had to admit Taehyun Kim had the potential to become an S-rank player, so he hoped Taehyun could take the injured teammates and leave. As for stopping these monsters, that was an examiner's duty. However, looking at the fallen teammates, they seemed to have already lost their lives. Just then, a loud noise came from behind. When he turned around, rows of Death Knights stood before him, and the examiner lay in a pool of blood, looking at the tragic scene around him. Taehyun Kim was filled with fear. At the same time, the Death Knight before him slowly raised its sword. Do you request a duel? As Taehyun Kim was stunned, he noticed the ring lying nearby. Wasn't that Do-hak Ma's Ring of the Sage? In the next second, the Death Knight launched an attack. Taehyun Kim dodged to the side, then bent down to pick up the ring. Now he could only place his hope in the ring. The moment he put on the ring, a powerful magical energy erupted from his body, instantly eliminating all the surrounding monsters. Even the Death Knight Lord was startled. What is this power? A prompt appeared. Due to wearing the Sage's ring, all your stats have been increased by 10. All conditions satisfied. Gluttony seal. Release. A red energy rapidly spread in all directions. In moments, he devoured all the surrounding Death Knights. At the same time, facing the enemy's massive assault, Taehyun Kim immediately used Gluttony to defend. With just one strike, he instantly repelled the enemy, but Gluttony alone wasn't enough. It took 10 seconds to devour them. During that time, he had to use all his skills, using everything to fight. Only then could he survive. But just then, a purple spear landed directly in front of him. This startled Taehyun Kim. Then he was shocked by what he saw. The Death Knight Lord slowly gathered magical power. In the next second, second, countless spears floated above him, then all struck straight down. To avoid the Death Knight Lord's attack, Taehyun Kim could only run forward. Then he seized the opportunity, using all his strength to use gluttony on the Death Knight Lord. However, faced with such powerful ability, the Death Knight Lord merely raised his hand and negated it. It admitted that Taehyun was indeed strong, but only to this extent. As the Death Knight Lord delivered a full power strike, Taehyun Kim now lay in a pool of blood. It was curious about who had given Taehyun Kim this power. Then it immediately used the howl of the Death Knight Lord to attack Taehyun Kim, but Taehyun Kim's unknown power successfully resisted part of the attack. You are not an ordinary human, and it had known all along that Taehyun Kim could understand their language. So it asked again, where is your power from? As the Death Knight Lord exerted its power, Taehyun was now on the brink of death. At this moment, Asmodeus's figure appeared before him again, looking at his teammates lying in pools of blood. He suddenly realized it was exactly the same as before. Nothing had changed. He didn't know what kind of power gluttony was, or why he could suddenly understand the monster's language. He had gained power and opportunity, yet changed nothing. Why did the king give me this power? Just then, a familiar voice sounded in his ear. A figure slowly appeared before him. I've told you before, I simply admire your will and tenacity. You don't need to change yourself. Just keep moving forward bravely. In the next second, Taehyun Kim suddenly opened his eyes, just as the Death Knight Lord was about to deliver the fatal blow. Countless red energies attacked in all directions, devouring everything in their path. Now the Death Knight Lord realized something was wrong. Is this guy using his body to make his skill go berserk? With a shout, his magical power suddenly surged. Seeing this, the Death Knight Lord became interested. It swung a full power strike at Taehyun Kim, but Taehyun Kim easily blocked it. You wanted to know what this power is? Then find out for yourself. As Taehyun exerted his strength, the gluttony skill rose to B rank. Then a magical force struck the Death Knight Lord, sending it flying dozens of meters. At the same time, Taehyun Kim picked up a nearby greatsword, then flash stepped to the Death Knight Lord and slashed it multiple times. The Death Knight Lord was furious, immediately summoning a pile of weapons to attack Taehyun Kim. But Taehyun Kim just slowly raised his right hand, then delivered a full power strike. In the next second, a red dragon lunged at the Death Knight Lord. As it was shocked by this, Taehyun Kim murmured, I am not human, and this power is the power of kings. As he exerted his strength, the Death Knight Lord was completely devoured. A prompt appeared, new skill added, Zeal of the Night Lord. Outside, everyone was looking grimly at the entrance, because after reassessment, the dungeon had been classified as S rank. Damn it, how did a D rank dungeon suddenly become S rank? At this rate, everyone will die here, as he alone couldn't possibly clear it. Just then, a purple light suddenly emanated from the dungeon entrance, just as everyone thought monsters were coming. In the next second, a figure slowly appeared before them. Taehyun Kim had finally returned. Scene change, thanks to Taehyun's efforts, all examinees safely evacuated the dungeon. The exam results would be determined by the scores before leaving the dungeon. The deceased were all properly arranged for. As for who cleared the double dungeon, the higher-ups decided not to disclose it. After all, revealing the truth would bring Taehyun enormous trouble. Of course, the two men before him knew the importance of this matter. The association president asked them, so what do you think of his abilities? Someone who can clear the double dungeon alone. Since he could complete an S-rank dungeon by himself, he's at least an S-rank player. However, considering the vast gap between his current level and S-rank, his potential is immeasurable. The two exchanged glances, then blurted out to the chairman, that guy could potentially become a national-level combatant. On the other side, Taehyun was shocked by what he saw, because countless monsters stood before him. Damn it, isn't this the abyss? Just then, a figure slowly walked toward him from the distance, and he suddenly realized the person before him was the king. At the same time, the surrounding monsters let out howls of anguish as the king waved his hand. In the next second, all the monsters were instantly eliminated. As Taehyun Kim was stunned, a voice came from ahead, I will always be waiting for you, in the deepest part of the abyss. Then Taehyun Kim suddenly woke from the nightmare. He felt a sense of dread, because he clearly knew it wasn't a dream. But what did the king's words mean? Even the gluttony ability that S-rank monsters greatly feared, and even the ability to understand monster language. There were too many puzzling points. It seemed there was no choice but to go to the abyss, looking at the row of B-rank skills. As expected, he realized his rank had risen to B during the battle with the Death Knight Lord. Now his abilities were only comparable to S-rank players. At this rate, he would eventually become a national-level combatant. Just then, a sound from outside the door caught his attention. A strange figure slowly appeared before him. Scene change, now he was sitting in a car. He was curious about what business the leader of Nightwalker, one of the 4 major guilds, the Information Guild, had with him. She responded that she merely wanted to see what kind of person cleared the double dungeon, and incidentally give him a ride home. But Taehyun obviously didn't accept this explanation. Then she got to the point. The third exam would involve simulated battles like the first one. The difference was that outsiders would be sitting in the audience watching the matches. This meant all of Taehyun's abilities would be made public, and he would certainly become the target of all guilds. She came in advance to invite Taehyun Kim to join the Nightwalker Guild. For this, she was willing to satisfy all of Taehyun's requests. However, despite the guild leader's sincere invitation, Taehyun Kim firmly rejected it. After Taehyun flatly rejected her invitation, he was heading home. The guild leader was puzzled. Why had Taehyun Kim rejected so decisively? Had he already agreed to join another another guild, but Taehyun Kim denied this. In his eyes, other guilds were no different from Nightwalker. He simply didn't want to join, that's all. Just as he turned to leave, the guild leader flashed beside him and covered his mouth. What are you? Just a brat who's newly become a player. How dare you refuse one of the 4 major guilds? But she forgave Taehyun Kim's behavior, because she saw great potential in him. At this moment, Taehyun Kim muttered, "You still like to cause trouble, don't you? Truly worthy of being Ayoung Lim's elder sister." Hearing this, the guild leader was immediately shocked. "How do you know about this?" "I know a lot about that name that was taken from you." The next second, a green light shot straight into the sky. The guild leader immediately unleashed a powerful magical force. Even the man beside her couldn't help but frown. "This is terrible." Guild leader Ayoung Yu's real name was originally Ayoung Lim. As the illegitimate daughter of the Yuksong group representative, she should have been treated as the future heir. But after her father's main wife gave birth to a younger daughter, her name was taken away. Eventually, Ayoung Yu chose to change her surname and became a player. However, only a very few people knew about this. Now facing the guild leader's powerful aura, Taehyun Kim decisively used his ability to resist and activated the zeal of the Night Lord to counterattack. The guild leader was very shocked. What was this power? It not only blocked her attack but also counterattacked her. Then Taehyun Kim slowly walked toward the guild leader. The next second, he pinned her against the wall. "I advise you not to cross the line, Miss Ayoung Yu." Hearing this, the guild leader's face immediately flushed red. The scene changes. Everyone is slowly heading to the arena, and this is the main venue for the player's 3rd round of examination. Unlike the previous undisclosed examinations, the audience can freely watch this test. Of course, the chief examiners will also be watching from backstage. The disguised Ayoung Yu has also arrived at the scene. At this moment, the uncle beside him is expressing concern for Taehyun Kim. After all, he heard that the player examination is very dangerous, but his cousin indicates they needn't worry, because brother Taehyun could knock them down with just one punch. Meanwhile, reporter Kim Gija feels restless. Due to her previous interview with a C-class awakener, her boss is very dissatisfied, and she is now facing the problem of unemployment. That kid named Taehyun Kim should have been eliminated, right? Just then, people around noticed that the atmosphere in the examination field was a bit off. Those battle-hardened players, even Gilson Lee, the A-class rising star player, they were all staring at the same person. Were they planning to defeat him together? How strong is that guy? At the same time, a broadcast sounded from the front. "All spectators, please protect yourselves and concentrate on watching. The 3rd round of the player examination officially begins." At this moment, everyone launched an attack toward Taehyun Kim. Because they had reached a consensus before the match, they must eliminate him first. After all, in the 1st round of the player examination, he had single-handedly eliminated 2 S-class monsters. Just as everyone rushed to attack him, the next second, a figure suddenly emerged from the mist. Then Taehyun Kim decisively used the stone skin skill. After a barrage of punches and kicks, the crowd in front was cleared away. And just at this moment, a green light suddenly burst from under Taehyun Kim's feet. The next second, countless vines instantly wrapped around him. He was very surprised. "What the hell is this?" At this moment, Gilson Lee muttered, "Even if you defeated 2 S-class monsters, you still let your guard down. The winner of this exam will be me, A-class Gilson Lee." But before he finished speaking, Taehyun Kim suddenly broke free from the restraints, then kicked him flying tens of meters away. However, before he could rest for a moment, the crowd once again launched an attack on him. At this moment, Taehyun Kim raised his hand and pointed, "Zeal of the Night Lord." The next second, a red light filled the entire field. Then the figure of the Death Knight Lord appeared before everyone. The powerful force instantly pressed down on everyone, making them unable to move. At the same time, the audience watching outside was extremely shocked by this, and Ayoung Yu directly said, "This is truly unbelievable. He dares to use this move in the arena." In less than a moment, all the examinees on the field were eliminated by Taehyun Kim. It looks like this should be over soon, right? Now there's only one person left on the field, S-class Ayoung Lim. At this moment, Taehyun Kim said, "Why don't you forfeit? Or do you want to experience the same situation as in the 1st round of examination?" Hearing this, Ayoung Lim immediately tensed up. The next second, a huge ice barrier instantly enveloped them. "Taehyun Kim, you'd better take care of yourself first. This time, I will never let that kind of thing happen." In less than a moment, the arena was already in ruins. Then Ayoung Lim was seen slowly falling forward. Although she couldn't defeat Taehyun Kim, Taehyun Kim still gave her high praise. She was still the most difficult opponent to deal with. At the same time, a broadcast sounded, "This player examination is officially over. The winner is contestant number 920, Taehyun Kim." The scene changes. The Player Association president has prepared generous gifts for Taehyun Kim, who won 1st place. Congratulations on becoming an S-class player. But what he didn't expect was that in the 3rd round of examination, Taehyun Kim actually defeated all the examinees single-handedly. But thinking carefully, it seemed reasonable. After all, he was the one who had conquered the double dungeon alone. At this moment, the president asked him, "Taehyun, do you want to join the new H-Country Players Association to contribute your strength to the association?" Hearing this, Taehyun Kim was immediately stunned. stunned. Then, looking at the trophy, he fell into deep thought. Many things had changed. Once a non-awakener, he had defeated S-class players, not only becoming the champion, even the leader of the 4 major guilds. New H country's most powerful Jinhui-ji had extended an olive branch to him. After careful consideration, Taehyun Kim ultimately rejected him. At this moment, the president was extremely shocked by this. Then Taehyun Kim gave his reason. Rather than serving the guild and association, he believed he would be more efficient acting alone. Hearing this, the president immediately burst into laughter. Even he hadn't expected Taehyun Kim to say such a thing. How could one person be better than an entire association? Then the president changed the subject. Since that's the case, let's not talk about joining the association. The next thing might interest you. The Asian Exhibition Games. Are you interested in participating? After the president extended an invitation to Taehyun Kim, he went to conquer a dungeon. In less than a moment, the monsters in this dungeon were completely eliminated by him. At this time, he suddenly remembered the Exhibition Games mentioned by the Player Association president. The Exhibition Games, a competition where associations or guilds from various countries select 5 representatives to compete in hunting demons and monsters. However, participating in such a competition isn't that easy, because to become a national representative, one must have enough contribution points, and contribution points can only be obtained by killing powerful monsters. Although the president proposed to make Taehyun Kim a national representative, he knew well that for someone who had just become a player, to catch up with those who had accumulated contribution points for several years, he must resolve more powerful monsters. But after a month of hard work, Taehyun Kim solved all the dungeons that appeared during this month, but he didn't get any personal growth, let alone contribution points. He had no other choice now, so he decided to go to that dangerous place. On the other side, the chairman of the Tayson group was furiously scolding the bald man because his son was still lying in the hospital bed, but the guy who had hurt him had become an S-class player. With his sudden force, the bald man was slammed heavily onto the ground. Just then, the maid indicated that there was a visitor from the malignant guild. Hearing this, the chairman immediately became furious. After all, he had hired this guild to deal with Taehyun Kim before. Just then, a powerful aura suddenly arrived. At this moment, a figure slowly appeared before him. "Chairman, please calm down. Isn't your target that brat?" The chairman was very shocked. "Who exactly are you?" Then he muttered, "Nice to meet you. I'm the vice leader of the malignant guild, Shadow." The scene changes. Taehyun Kim had just walked out of the teleportation gate. The fat man in front immediately called out to him. He was the one responsible for taking Taehyun Kim to the auction. A-rank player of the Alchemist Guild, Jeonung Park. Also a loyal fan of Taehyun Kim and a member of the Taehyun Kim Club. This is the highest level auction area, East Point. It has the largest auction scale, the best quality auction items, and provides convenient translation functions. Among these, the most excellent aspect is safety, because this place can change coordinates at any time, and without permission, one cannot come here. Thanks to this system, there have been no problems here for decades. Indeed, but Taehyun Kim knew well that today this place would be attacked by an S-class demon. The scene changes. On the stage, a valuable item is being auctioned, the Phoenix Potion. Drinking it can increase magic and stamina by 20 points, and Taehyun Kim's purpose for coming here was only one, that is to gain contribution points by killing S-class demons. However, he didn't know much about the information here. He only remembered that before his return, East Point had suffered significant losses in a demon attack, and he was curious who had resolved that kind of monster. Then he asked the fat man, who is the person in charge here? Just as he was about to explain, the next second, a voice caught the attention of the two. "Isn't this the youngest S-class player from H country? If I remember correctly, his name should be Taehyun Kim, right?" The newcomer was the S-class player from J country, Ryoma Isaka, also the security chief in charge here, but it should be noted that this guy could even harm his companions for his own benefit, known as a demon among players. At this moment, he slowly extended his left hand. "Very pleased to meet you, genius player." And Taehyun Kim also shook hands with him without any guard. The next second, countless electric currents struck directly at Taehyun Kim. Even he hadn't expected this guy to use such methods, and now he felt extremely excited. "I didn't expect you really are S-class." Just as Taehyun Kim was about to counterattack, he noticed the crowd beside him, who were now lying on the ground with blue faces. And at this time, he released Taehyun Kim's left hand, then bent down and said, "Now you should understand, right? Even S-class players have level distinctions." Although he didn't know why Taehyun Kim had come here, he advised Taehyun Kim not to cause trouble. Finally, continued to enjoy the auction. Looking at his slowly disappearing figure, Taehyun Kim realized, "It seems things are more complicated than I imagined." While Taehyun Kim was waiting for the event to happen, on the other side, a group of guys were slowly approaching the control room. And to ensure the safety of the control room, the bald man led everyone to launch an attack. But in just one encounter, everyone was killed by the old man. This person was the S-class demon of unknown origin, Ophid Oro. At the same time, the subordinate beside him was reporting the situation. A variable has appeared in the auction because S-class player Taehyun Kim from New H country has appeared here. What should we do next? At this moment, he muttered, "What kind of stinking brat is that? As long as I'm here, no one can escape God's revelation." The next second, a huge explosion occurred. He immediately immediately destroyed the auction site. Then numerous explosions followed, and 2 buildings were severely damaged. Even Taehyun Kim was extremely shocked by this. Although he knew this place would be attacked, he hadn't expected it to be several places. How did those guys enter the auction? But the most important thing now is to deal with those demons first. Just as the demon was signaling everyone not to make rash moves, the next second, a figure flashed by, and all the demons in front were instantly killed. At this moment, Taehyun Kim signaled to Jeonnam Park, "Quickly contact the association for reinforcements here. I'll be responsible for capturing the mastermind." The scene changes. Everyone is protecting the items that have been bid on by guests. However, with Dark's command, both sides immediately engaged in a fierce battle. In less than a moment, they all fell in pools of blood. At this moment, Dark grabbed the item in front of him. Finally found it, the Phoenix Potion. After consumption, it can permanently increase magic and stamina by 20 points. And he finally understood why Ofid Oro wanted to get this thing. Because just by looking at it, one could feel the immensely powerful force it contained. If he could drink it, just then, a loud noise was heard. Then a subordinate fell to the ground in response. Before he could react, the surrounding subordinates were killed one after another. Only then did he realize this skill was stealth. At the same time, a nimble slash instantly fell. It immediately cut his right eye. And at this time, he suddenly activated his magic power. The next second, Taehyun Kim was tightly bound by countless chains. You think you're great because you can be invisible? Now you're done for. However, Taehyun Kim was extremely excited at this moment. Can this skill actually locate opponents? It looks very good. A skill worth using gluttony on. On the other side, Ofid Uro had already occupied the Space Gate control room. I didn't expect things to develop so smoothly. Next, I just need to get the Phoenix Potion and it's over. At the same time, the subordinate beside him was reporting the situation to Ofid Oro. Dark, who went to find the Phoenix Potion, has news, but there seems to be some problems. At this moment, a voice came from the walkie-talkie. "Are you that Ofid Oro?" And Ofid Oro showed a shocked expression. "Who exactly are you? Who else? Of course, it's the one who stole your things. If you still want the Phoenix Potion, come quickly. Damn old thing." At this moment, he drank the Phoenix Potion in his hand in one gulp. The next second, his stamina and magic power were instantly enhanced. Even he hadn't expected this thing to be so effective. But now there's no need to worry about it being stolen by bad guys. At the same time, Ryoma Isaka was seen leading a group of people slowly arriving here, and the crowd was very confused about this, because they came here through the communication location, but didn't find any trace of anyone. Just then, Ryoma Isaka muttered, "Isn't he standing right in front of us? Show yourself, Taehyun Kim." At this moment, Taehyun Kim slowly appeared before everyone. "I didn't expect to be discovered even though I was hiding so well." And Ryoma Isaka was very curious why an S-class player would appear here. But Taehyun Kim didn't explain. Instead, "What about you? As the chief security officer, why would you appear at this time?" He explained that he was looking for something. Hearing this, Taehyun Kim immediately understood the ins and outs of the matter. No wonder he felt something was off. With so many excellent players here, yet no one could discover that the enemy had already infiltrated. And entering here required permission. It seems you are the insider of that organization. The next second, he suddenly launched an attack on Taehyun Kim, but it was blocked by his raised sword. "Quickly take out that thing. That depends on your ability." At the same time, both sides engaged in an extremely fierce battle. Numerous slashes passed around everyone, and Taehyun Kim felt very strained at this moment. Even if he used the stealth skill, Ryoma Isaka could judge Taehyun Kim's position through sound and killing intent. Just as Taehyun Kim was distracted, a slash heavily chopped down on him. Even he hadn't expected that with the same stealth skill, there was such a huge difference between the two of them. But he wasn't worth Taehyun Kim using the predatory skill. With Taehyun Kim's sudden force, the next second everyone was pressed down by an invisible force, but Taehyun Kim still couldn't find Ryoma Isaka's whereabouts. Just then, a voice came from above him. "Your judgment is very correct. Stealth is useless in front of wide-range skills. But if you want to find me, you should use this skill toward the top." The next second, a nimble slash came toward Taehyun Kim. Its power was so great that it penetrated the entire passage. And at this time, Ryoma Isaka showed an expression of disbelief, because Taehyun Kim had used chains to block his attack. At this moment, Taehyun Kim finally explained. The previous aura wasn't to find his whereabouts, but to limit his range of activity. The next second, countless chains tightly bound Ryoma Isaka. Then Taehyun Kim suddenly threw a punch. This should end it now. At this moment, they were all tightly bound by Taehyun Kim's chains, and he was very curious how an S-class player could do such a thing. Then Taehyun Kim kicked him tens of meters away. "Don't waste time, quickly tell all the information about Ofid Uro. Now the associations from various countries have sent reinforcement troops. As soon as they arrive here, you're all done." However, Ryoma Isaka showed an evil smile. "You really don't understand anything." On the other side, the two were discussing battle plans. However, the leader of the Alchemist Guild, Sang-ik Seo, appeared anxiously before them, and he was puzzled why they hadn't sent reinforcement troops to East Point. At this moment, the association president explained to him that when the situation occurred, he immediately sent reinforcement troops. The team was an elite squad led by Suongjin Park, but the problem is, currently they cannot go there, because after the East Point control room was occupied, all teleportation gates were blocked. But don't worry, after all, there are 2 S-class players on site. As long as they can hold on until we open the teleportation gate, it will be fine. fine. And at this time, a young Yu slowly appeared before everyone. The scene changes. Ryoma Isaka is now explaining to Taehyun Kim, "Do you know the skill of contracting with demons? That's Offit Oro's worst skill. Through the quantity and quality of sacrifices, he can summon a certain level of monster. The sacrifice you're talking about couldn't be, yes, exactly what you're thinking, humans." Even the president and others felt extremely shocked at this moment. Now hundreds of people have been held hostage by Offit Oro. If he sacrifices all these people, then the consequences will be unimaginable, because that will be a devastating disaster. At this moment, Ryoma Isaka began to taunt Taehyun Kim, "You're very lucky to have defeated me, but you can never defeat Offit Oro. Now you have two choices. Either watch these people be sacrificed, or rush into a battle with no chance of winning." Hearing this, Taehyun Kim immediately fell into deep thought. On the other side, Offit Oro's subordinate began to report, "It seems Ryoma Isaka has lost, but the whereabouts of Taehyun Kim and the Phoenix Potion are still unknown. What should we do next?" At this moment, Offit Oro guessed. Perhaps he is waiting for the association's help. Then he waved his hand. The next second, numerous humans were lifted up. "Since he doesn't appear voluntarily, I have ways to lure him out." Just as he was about to kill the humans, the venue fell into darkness, and when he came to his senses, he found that the sacrifices in his hand were already gone. At the same time, Taehyun Kim instantly appeared behind him, then swung a full-force attack at him. Offit Oro dodged it by moving sideways. At the same time, countless monsters suddenly emerged from above his head. Then they all launched an attack on Taehyun Kim. Even he hadn't expected Offit Oro to hide monsters above his head. At this moment, the crowd on the side called out to Taehyun Kim for help, but he chose to ignore them. The next second, countless monsters fell from above his head. It immediately created a huge crater in the venue. However, with a series of quick strikes, Taehyun Kim quickly eliminated them all. Then he used the Zeal of the Night Lord, trying to subdue the monsters on sight with this skill, but he underestimated the abilities of these monsters. They rushed toward Taehyun Kim without being affected at all. Taehyun Kim showed extreme shock at this, and Offit Oro said coldly beside him, "The monsters summoned by the demon contract are different, because they not only obey his commands, but are also affected by magical power. They become stronger than ordinary monsters. Even if you defeated Ryoma Isaka, you shouldn't go against God's will." And under the attack of the monsters, Taehyun Kim quickly fell into a disadvantage. At the same time, the crowd beside felt very scared. Can't that guy even beat the monsters? But only the sharp-eyed uncle discovered, thanks to Taehyun Kim's help, no monster had noticed them, and he challenged numerous monsters alone. Thinking carefully, his previous actions were also to transfer them to a safe location, and the uncle determined Taehyun Kim's initial goal was to rescue them. Hearing this, everyone cheered for Taehyun Kim. The next second, Taehyun Kim used chains to tightly bind numerous monsters, then signaled to everyone, "Shut your mouths quickly." Just the endless monsters had already made him physically and mentally exhausted, not to mention these mortal hostages. At this moment, he realized he couldn't go on like this, so he signaled to Jeonung Park, "Act quickly." At the same time, a figure slowly appeared before everyone. "Now begin immediately." And not long ago, Taehyun Kim had just resolved Ryoma Isaka. Then he told everything to Jeonung Park. But the most troublesome thing now is that the control room is filled with numerous monsters. If it's just dealing with Offit Oro, he doesn't have much of a problem. But this would involve those hostages, so he can't ignore it. Therefore, Taehyun Kim needs his help. But he indicated that it was impossible to connect the association and this place. After all, he didn't know the coordinates here. But Taehyun Kim indicated that he didn't need to worry, because he only needed to teleport the monsters out. At the same time, with the opening of the teleportation gate, countless monsters were instantly sucked in, and Offit Oro showed a shocked expression at this moment. What is going on? Even Jeonung Park hadn't expected the plan to go so smoothly. Now there's only the last enemy left. At the same time, Taehyun Kim quickly signaled to him, "Quickly take the hostages away from here." Although he wanted to stay to help Taehyun Kim, he was rejected, because this was an S-class enemy. He couldn't fight and protect at the same time. Hearing this, Jeonung Park immediately led the people out of here. Looking at the gradually disappearing figures of the crowd, a battle between the two sides was imminent. Facing Offit Oro's fierce offensive, Taehyun Kim could only choose to dodge, while seeking the right opportunity to attack. Just then, Offit Oro quickly came in front of Taehyun Kim, with his hand waved. The next second, a huge fire snake rushed toward Taehyun Kim, and he could only choose to raise his sword to block. In an instant, a huge explosion sounded in the venue. At this moment, Offit Oro muttered, "No matter how many demons you eliminate or how many humans you rescue, I am in existence you cannot defeat. You are just doing meaningless things." Then he was about to kill Taehyun Kim on the spot. But even facing such a dangerous situation, Taehyun Kim still showed a composed expression, because he firmly believed that Offit Oro would definitely die here. Next, he decisively used the gluttony skill. In the next moment, a red energy gathered to form a giant dragon, then rushed towards Offit Oro, instantly devouring all the monsters at once. Even he didn't expect that Taehyun Kim had been hiding such a skill. At this moment, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. "I've changed my opinion of you, Taehyun Kim. You are the best sacrifice for the gods." The next second, Offit Oro's subordinates all fell to their knees before him, then gradually dissipated before his eyes. Did this guy actually sacrifice them? Meanwhile, a green bone dragon appeared behind Offit Oro. S-class monster, Bone Dragon. On the other side, the escaping people encountered Ofid Oro's subordinates, but when they were about to fight back, the enemies began coughing up blood one by one, then disappeared before their eyes. Just then, a violent tremor struck. Taehyun Kim was suddenly thrown out of the building by the Bone Dragon. At this moment, Ofid Oro was laughing loudly. Dragons are the most powerful monsters, facing such a dangerous situation. Taehyun Kim used his chain skill to break through the glass nearby, then jumped into the building. Damn, what kind of monster is that? Meanwhile, the Bone Dragon had already arrived in front of him. Before Taehyun Kim could react, he was thrown out again by the Bone Dragon. Now you're done for, Taehyun Kim. At this moment, Taehyun Kim slowly raised his right hand. Just as he was about to use his gluttony skill, a dragon's breath interrupted his skill, accompanied by a loud explosion. Ofid Oro looked somewhat surprised at this point, because even he hadn't expected Taehyun Kim to survive such an attack. It seems I still underestimated your strength. After Taehyun Kim barely avoided the attack using gluttony, he found it hard to believe that such a being was on the same level as him. However, Taehyun Kim determined that forcefully controlling such power would definitely cause his body to suffer backlash. It looks like he should be reaching his limit soon. If he could continue to delay, then Taehyun Kim's chances of winning would be high. But unexpectedly, he saw through Taehyun Kim's thoughts. Delaying is indeed a good judgment, but such a small trick won't work on me. The next second, he immediately controlled the Bone Dragon, flying rapidly towards Park Jeonung and the others. With a loud explosion, the entire floor suffered devastating damage. On the other side, after the Player Association's relentless efforts, they finally opened a portal to East Point. Under the leadership of player Park Songjin, everyone entered the portal before them. Meanwhile, seeing that everyone was about to be attacked by the Bone Dragon, Taehyun Kim selflessly blocked it, but unfortunately the difference in strength between them was too great. With the Bone Dragon's fierce power, Taehyun Kim couldn't hold on much longer, and Park Yeonung indicated that Taehyun Kim shouldn't worry about them, because if Taehyun Kim died, everything would be over. Indeed, Taehyun Kim strongly agreed with his point. When he summoned the Bone Dragon, Taehyun Kim realized he could never defeat him. The only option was to delay as much as possible, but he believed it was still too early to give up. He must find a way to save everyone. At this moment, a voice came, "I can no longer endure this." Just as Taehyun Kim was extremely puzzled by this, the next second, a prompt appeared. Gluttony skill temporarily upgraded to a rank, to S rank, to SS rank. Then, as his body couldn't withstand the power of gluttony, it began to break down. And under Ofid Oro's shocked gaze, Taehyun Kim's gluttony skill rose to SS rank. The next second, an incredibly powerful magical force suddenly enveloped his surroundings. Has gluttony lost control? Damn it, what power did the king give me? Under the mighty power, Taehyun Kim's body gradually began to break down. Am I going to die like this? Then he collapsed helplessly to the ground. Ofid Oro was extremely shocked at this moment, because this power was simply too overwhelming. Even the user couldn't withstand its power. But why doesn't he terminate the skill? Is he trying to buy time? So he decided to go and test it. However, unexpectedly, just by approaching, the Bone Dragon's wings were instantly devoured. Just as Ofid Oro was puzzled, Taehyun Kim slowly stood up nearby. The next second, an incredibly huge monster suddenly appeared before his eyes. What is going on? At this moment, a powerful aura erupted from Taehyun Kim. Who are you? You are not Taehyun Kim. How did you acquire this power? That's none of your business, since you're already dead. With a wave of Taehyun Kim's hand, the next second, everything before him was completely devoured by gluttony. Acquired new skill, contract with the devil. After Taehyun Kim dealt with Ofid Oro in his dream, Taehyun Kim was firmly bound by chains that appeared out of nowhere. Then countless giant rocks fell towards him one after another. Then a pair of giant hands appeared out of thin air. The next second, Zeal of the Night Lord was suddenly activated. He was shocked at how his skill could attack himself. Just then, Gluttony mumbled, "You say these are all your skills? Don't joke around. Since you've eaten these skills, it's time to spit them out." With a violent tremor, the next second, Taehyun Kim suddenly woke up from his dream. He looked at everything before him in disbelief, because his right hand, which had been damaged by using gluttony, was now completely intact. Meanwhile, Park Songjin slowly appeared before him. He brought Taehyun Kim lots of delicious food. This place was a house prepared by the Association and Alchemist for Taehyun Kim, a token of gratitude for stopping the demon's actions. Thanks to Taehyun Kim's help, they captured Ryoma Isaka, and many people survived. As for why he stayed here, it was to protect Taehyun Kim's safety. But Taehyun Kim was confused, as he only remembered falling to the ground while fighting Ofid Oro, but he had no idea what happened specifically. "So you're the same?" Park Songjin came here specifically to ask about this matter. Flashback to earlier, when Park Jeonung saw Ofid Oro killed with one punch, but he was certain the person before him was not Taehyun Kim. At that moment, Taehyun Kim waved his hand, and Park Jeonung fell to the ground immediately. Just as he was about to proceed to the next step, his body began to slowly dissipate. "Looks like I've reached my limit? Well, can't be helped, I'll go back first." The next second, Taehyun Kim suddenly collapsed to the ground. By the time Park Songjin hurriedly arrived, the surroundings were in a state of complete ruin, and no one knew exactly what had happened here, although they later questioned the survivors. Without exception, they only remembered that Taehyun Kim defeated Ofit Oro, but they couldn't recall the specific details, as if they had been subject to some kind of interference. Perhaps it was the demon's doing. You should rest and recover. If there are any developments, I'll let you know. But Taehyun Kim knew this was definitely not the demon's doing, because Ofit Oro should have been devoured by gluttony. Now he looked at his skills with confusion. Why was it open the Abyss Gate? I remember this was clearly a monster summoning skill, and it required 200 magic points, while he currently only had 180. Just then, Park Songjin indicated that he had a visitor. The next second, Lim Ayong slowly appeared before him. I've come to visit you, but rather than a visit, she seemed to be issuing a challenge. Don't get cocky and arrogant just because you saved many humans and defeated 2 S-rank players. I'll catch up to you soon. For a moment, even Taehyun Kim didn't know why she came here. Initially, she did come to visit Taehyun Kim, but it seemed he currently had no problems. And what was with the strong internal magical power he possessed? It's much stronger than during the player exam. Just then, a nearby movement caught the attention of both. Yua Young was tiptoeing into the room. Lim Ayong was very curious why her sister would appear in Taehyun Kim's room, but Yua Young didn't seem to welcome her. Can you not call me sister? As for the door password, it was provided by the association, and with 2 S-rank players living in the same room, what kind of relationship do you think they have? Hearing this, Lim Ayong's face immediately turned red. Taehyun Kim interrupted the conversation between the two. Stop joking, quickly tell me your purpose for coming here. She stated that she also came to visit Taehyun Kim, but she brought a gift as well. In conversations with the association president, she learned that Taehyun Kim's goal was the exhibition games. But despite his achievements in East Point, his ranking was still only 30, and only the top 5 players can participate in the competition. He still needed a significant score boost. So she came to give Taehyun Kim the clearing rights to the Double Dungeon, the Temple of Fire. Meanwhile, a group arrived at East Point, led by Shadow, the vice president of the Malignant Guild. They were searching for Ofit Oro's whereabouts, but without any progress. Just as they were considering whether to report to the boss, Shadow indicated there was no need. After all, Ofit Oro was just someone they hired, and their goal had already been achieved. Just then, a huge ship appeared before them, as he was indicating that only investigators could enter here. The next second, they found themselves in the sea. The huge ship instantly sank into the cold seawater, and this was Shadow's ability. Meanwhile, he was becoming increasingly interested in Taehyun Kim. Scene change, everyone was extremely excited, because the hero of East Point, S-rank player Taehyun Kim, had arrived. But even though he obtained the clearing rights, the item distribution and team would be decided by the guild. Taehyun Kim had no objections to this, because it was the Temple of Fire after all. The Temple of Fire, named for the flames discovered at its entrance, is the second double dungeon to appear in the country. Before Taehyun Kim's return, this dungeon was cleared by the Nightwalker Guild, but they also suffered considerable casualties. Considering the score and economic issues, Taehyun Kim definitely needed to enter. But because gluttony damaged his right hand, causing Taehyun Kim's power and stamina to decrease significantly, it would be difficult for him to clear it alone. However, if he cleared it with S-rank Yu Ah-young, there would be no problem. Scene change, a team of over 300 people arrived at the dungeon entrance in grand fashion, but only 2 people would be conducting the clear. This startled Taehyun Kim. Why only the 2 of us? Because this is our date. After the 2 entered the double dungeon, Yu Ah-young appeared somewhat shocked, because the atmosphere here was indeed different from ordinary dungeons. Are all double dungeons like this? Taehyun Kim responded that at least the Apocalypto dungeon he experienced before was like this, just as she was thinking about how to proceed. The next second, a tentacle instantly pulled her into a hole. Taehyun Kim quickly reacted, but then he froze in place, because Yu Ah-young had already dealt with the monster. Even Taehyun Kim was extremely shocked to defeat a monster with just 1 strike. Meanwhile, Yu Ah-young immediately launched an attack on the monsters in the hole. A figure flashed by. The next second, countless A-rank monsters were instantly killed. It seems what she showed last time wasn't her true strength. No wonder only 2 people were needed to clear this place. Perhaps I should work harder. In no time, the 2 quickly eliminated all the monsters and reached the underground. Although the monsters were numerous and of high quality, they were no match for Yu Ah-young. Taehyun Kim was very curious about what Yu Ah-young and the others encountered before his return that led to their team being almost destroyed. Just then, Yu Ah-young handed Taehyun Kim a ring. This is equipment called a Ring of the Warrior, which can enhance the user's strength and endurance. This would greatly compensate for the combat power Taehyun Kim lost due to his injured right hand. She indicated that if Taehyun Kim was willing to join the guild, he could get more items. But Taehyun Kim didn't express his stance immediately. Then he gestured to Yu Ah-young. Next, we need to be more careful, because they had reached the boss's location. Yu Ah-young was extremely shocked by this. Is this egg the boss? Of course, he was certain that this egg was the boss they were looking for. Just as he was thinking about investigating carefully, Yu Ah-young had already leaped down, then struck the giant egg with full force. Even Taehyun Kim hadn't expected her to be so reckless. After the mist cleared, the giant egg had already been destroyed by Yu Ah-young, just as she stated that the boss of a double dungeon was so easily defeated. The next second, a blue light appeared. Then a voice came from ahead. Mere humans can actually reach the temple. It seems interesting people have appeared. Then a huge figure appeared before the 2. Double dungeon boss, S-class monster, Phoenix. phoenix. It's actually a phoenix? Both were extremely shocked by this. Phoenix, a monster mistakenly believed by people to be immortal, possessing powerful regeneration abilities and magic resistance. Even Taehyun Kim hadn't expected that the boss of this dungeon would be a blue-flamed phoenix. The phoenix suddenly launched an attack toward the two. Taehyun Kim realized that this power had a mind-controlling effect. Just as he was warning Yua Young, the next second, Yua Young suddenly attacked him. S-rank Yua Young, now controlled by the phoenix, facing her attack. Taehyun Kim could only dodge it. The next second, he suddenly used Zeal of the Night Lord, immediately knocking Yua Yang to the ground. Damn it, can you wake up? At this moment, Yua Yang had already gathered her magical power. Then an incredibly powerful energy shot straight towards Taehyun Kim. Seeing this, the watching phoenix couldn't help but smile. Indeed, humans are too naive. Meanwhile, Yua Young finally sensed something strange. A chain instantly wrapped around her left leg. Then numerous chains bound her tightly. Due to the numbing effect of the chains, she could no longer move. Now I finally know who crushed the Nightwalker Guild before my return. Although this attack will hurt a bit, please endure it. The next second, Taehyun Kim swung a giant rock towards Yua Young. Then she was knocked to the ground. When she wakes up, she'll be free from the phoenix's control. Now, it's time to deal with you. Before his words fell, both sides erupted with all their magical power. A moment later, Taehyun Kim was seen carrying Yua Young on his back and fleeing everywhere. After all, it was difficult for him alone to deal with an S-class monster, facing the phoenix's continuous attacks. Taehyun Kim could only seize opportunities to counterattack. Just then, he flashed behind the phoenix, then struck with full force, but it easily dodged. Even using chains to bind it firmly would be destroyed by the blue flames. Even Taehyun Kim hadn't expected this monster to be so troublesome. As he was momentarily distracted, the phoenix spat a blue flame at him. Fortunately, Taehyun Kim dodged in time, otherwise the consequences would have been unimaginable. Taehyun Kim realized that this was definitely not an ordinary phoenix. Could it be a grand phoenix? Unlike existing monsters, the grand phoenix possesses extremely powerful strength, a legendary mutated individual. To emphasize its power, humans classified this monster as Splus rank. If it really is a grand phoenix, then with Taehyun Kim's current strength, he simply cannot destroy its powerful regeneration ability, unless he uses the gluttony skill. But he fears it might lose control like last time. Just as Taehyun Kim was hesitating, Yua Young suddenly regained consciousness. Faced with everything happening before her, she was extremely shocked, so Taehyun Kim patiently explained to her. At this moment, the phoenix suddenly launched an attack towards the two. It seems you don't take me seriously. Then it showed a slightly shocked expression, because the two resolved its attack in just a moment. This time, don't get controlled again. Of course, you don't need to worry at all. Seeing this, the phoenix suddenly erupted with all its magical power, then pounced towards the two. Taehyun Kim decisively used the Heart of the Sovereign skill. The next second, everyone's ability values were enhanced. Then Yua Young suddenly swung her spear, instantly shattering the phoenix's body. Next, leave it to Big Sister, Zeal of the Amazon, Berserker mode. So she decisively launched an attack on the phoenix. The so-called Berserker mode refers to activating all skills through reversed magical flow. Although it makes skills more powerful, the body suffers permanent damage, so many people are reluctant to use it. Just then, Yua Young hurled her spear with full force, instantly crushing the phoenix's body. Meanwhile, Yua Young followed up with multiple attacks, then struck with full force, smashing it heavily to the ground. With a loud explosion, she had reached her limit. Then she suddenly collapsed to the ground. At this moment, the phoenix's powerful recovery ability took effect. In no time, more than half of its body had been repaired. Just as it was about to attack Yua Young, the next second, numerous chains bound it tightly. To combat such powerful regeneration, Taehyun Kim had to use the gluttony skill. Next, let me end this. Scene change, everyone was looking at the dungeon entrance with solemn expressions. After all, the two had been inside for a long time. Just then, Taehyun Kim carrying Yua Young slowly walked out of the entrance. Then he announced, Temple of Fire double dungeon successfully cleared. A moment later, news of the double dungeon being cleared spread throughout the entire country. Yua Young was now looking at everything with a red face. She was very confused why such private matters would be made public. It turned out his subordinates had accidentally leaked it, so she gave them a good lesson. Meanwhile, the association president came to visit the injured Yua Young. Scene changed, the two began chatting outside. The president was very curious about Taehyun Kim's strength during the dungeon clear. Since she had fainted, she didn't know the specifics, but she could confirm that he defeated the Phoenix alone. Moreover, he had now gone to the abyss. Hearing this, the president was extremely shocked. It seems Taehyun Kim possesses very powerful strength, but Yua Young was puzzled by this. Everyone should feel self-satisfied after reaching a certain level. But Taehyun Kim showed no intention of stopping. Instead, he used every means to make himself stronger. So what was his reason for wanting to become stronger? The president fell into deep thought. It should be for the entire country. In this era filled with monsters, he hopes to protect this country from monster invasions. That's Taehyun Kim's reason for wanting to become stronger. But Yua Young didn't think so. On the other side, deep in the abyss, the surroundings were already in ruins. The person before us was the big boss of the Abyss, Vampire Lord and Archduke of the Abyss Igmoon, level unknown. He had just granted power to a man. How does it feel to receive our family's power? Of course I can feel that I possess incredibly powerful strength. Lin Peng Jiang, national level player from Sea Country. Scene change, Taehyun Kim arrived at the Abyss. This was his first visit here since his return. The man before him greeted him. I am a member of the World Player Association, responsible for Abyss Sector 22, A-rank player, Paul Becker. Then he gave Taehyun Kim a tour of the Abyss interior. If this is your first visit, you should hire a guide or multiple mercenary players. The World Association built many player base camps here to help explore every area of the Abyss. But this doesn't mean the Abyss has become safe, because monster attacks can still occur even inside player base camps. So for safety reasons, Becker believed Taehyun Kim should hire some players. But Taehyun Kim had no such plans. The next second, a giant centipede suddenly attacked the two. However, with just one encounter, the monster was killed on the spot by Taehyun Kim. I'm just here for a walk. A moment later, Taehyun Kim arrived at a desolate place, then took out the magic stone from his pocket. Thanks to clearing the Temple of Fire double dungeon, Taehyun Kim's magic value reached 200. Now he could finally use this skill, but he was confused why the skill had changed so dramatically and could only be used once. Was it affected by gluttony? But all this would soon be answered as he crushed the magic stone. The next second, the contract with the devil skill activated, then a huge skeleton gate appeared before him. Next, let me see what's hidden behind the gate. Then he slowly entered the Abyss Gate. At this moment, he showed an extremely shocked expression because a huge castle stood before him, just as he was very confused about this. The next second, 3 figures instantly appeared behind him, so he immediately prepared for battle. It seems the dangerous thing refers to you. Taehyun Kim recognized at a glance that these were legendary succubi. Succubus devours the life of males, can create illusions and use mind control. But succubi should generally be B-rank monsters. Could they be the targets for the contract? If so, then I just need to defeat them. The next second, Taehyun Kim suddenly attacked them, but they easily dodged. Meanwhile, the succubi immediately used the skill illusion. In an instant, Taehyun Kim froze in place. Just as they were feeling pleased with themselves, Taehyun Kim suddenly launched an attack, then used Zeal of the Night Lord, instantly beating them with no chance to fight back. The reason the skill had no effect on him was completely because he used an incredible power to block it. Now, let's proceed with the contract. To contract with a demon, you must meet one of 2 conditions. The first is to hand over what the demon wants. The second is to make it submit with powerful strength. Just as he was about to contract with the demon, the next second, a prompt appeared. This demon is not the contract target. Hearing this, Taehyun Kim was extremely shocked. Just then, countless succubi surrounded him. It seems you're not a simple character. Perhaps you will be the best gift for the Queen, Grand Succubus plus rank. On the other side, the Queen's subordinates were reporting the situation to her. Currently, one person has infiltrated the castle. A human? This is really interesting. After Taehyun Kim entered the castle, countless succubi launched attacks on him. Even he hadn't expected these creatures to be so troublesome. Meanwhile, 2 succubi blocked his path, then attacked him, and Taehyun Kim immediately chose to lean back to dodge, then used Zeal of the Night Lord. The next second, a powerful force instantly sent them flying hundreds of meters away. Taehyun Kim could finally catch his breath. He realized that if none of these monsters were the contract target, then only one possibility remained: the existence called Queen by the succubi. Just then, the maid before him calmly said, "The Queen is waiting for you." Scene change. Taehyun Kim arrived in the Queen's chamber. The Queen mumbled, "Welcome to my palace. I am the mother of all succubi, Queen Rosaria." Meanwhile, a prompt appeared. Contract with the devil target appears. It seems I guessed correctly. She is the target for this contract. Of course, she confirmed this. But the next second, Taehyun Kim was extremely shocked because the demon actually used human language. That's nothing special, aren't you? A human, able to understand the language between monsters? But anyway, what did you come here for? Power, wealth, or fame? None of those. I came here to contract with a demon. Hearing this, the Queen burst into laughter. You really have the courage to come here. But when jokes go too far, you pay with your life. Succubus Queen, Archduchess of the Abyss, Rosaria, level unknown. The next second, countless tentacles rushed towards Taehyun Kim. Taehyun Kim immediately used Zeal of the Night Lord. Then 2 powerful energies collided together. Next, I will make you submit with my power. Facing the Queen's attack, Taehyun Kim calmly used his dagger to block. Just then, Taehyun Kim suddenly leaped into the air, then used the Stone Skin skill to attack the Queen. But the next second, all of Taehyun Kim's skills suddenly failed. At this moment, the Queen snapped her fingers. Then the scene before him changed dramatically. Even Taehyun Kim was extremely shocked by this. A city actually appeared here. As he was distracted, he instantly fell into the ocean. He now realized that he had fallen into the Queen's illusion. However, he was very confused about when exactly the Queen had used her illusion. When was it? Of course, right from the beginning. Damn, this is terrible. Just as Taehyun Kim realized he was trapped in an illusion, the next moment, he suddenly appeared in his childhood memories. Back then, he constantly talked about wanting to become an awakened one, because that way he could give his parents a better life. But their greatest wish was simply for him to grow up healthy. Just as he was recalling these beautiful moments, the next second, a car accident occurred beside him. The scene of his parents' death appeared before his eyes once again. At the same time, a movement nearby caught his attention. It was an unbearable memory how without awakened talent he endured constant bullying from others, eventually becoming nothing more than a porter, carrying loads for the team. He deeply realized that he was of no help to others, and those who helped him would suffer misfortune. So he chose to leave his aunt and uncle. His mother had hoped he would find happiness, but to obtain happiness, one must possess power. At that moment, his body detected the queen's hypnosis skill and tried to resist, but ultimately failed. Now Taehyun Kim's overall stats decreased, all skills became unusable. Only gluttony skill remained. The next second, Taehyun Kim decisively activated his gluttony skill. Meanwhile, the queen was watching all this with great interest. This guy can actually survive in this situation. But she noticed something strange. The Taehyun Kim before her seemed older. They seemed to exist simultaneously. However, a segment of memories was different. Could there be some secret hidden within? Just as she continued looking deeper, a figure slowly appeared before her eyes, and she was utterly shocked. It was the king. At the same time, the gluttony skill instantly enveloped her surroundings. In no time, it pulled her back to reality. By now, Taehyun Kim had already teleported behind her. For a queen, peeping into others' memories is quite a terrible hobby. I'll say it one last time, Rosaria, accept the contract. Yet she remained very calm. I didn't expect you to escape my illusion, but you can't kill me. Now she extended tentacles tightly binding Taehyun Kim, then murmured, I am willing to accept the contract. Then she bit down hard on Taehyun Kim's shoulder. At this moment, a window prompt appeared. Conditions met. Summoning contract formed. Contract with Demon Queen. Name changed to Queen's Man. Skill levels readjusted. Gained new skill. Complete hypnosis. Charm value increased. Now she slowly said to Taehyun Kim, you should get some good sleep. Man chosen by the king. After the contract was completed, Taehyun Kim suddenly woke from his dream. Only then did he realize he had returned to the player area. Was it Rosaria who sent me back here? Looking at each newly acquired skill before him, he felt extremely shocked. If he summoned Rosaria during the Asian exhibition games, he would have no pressure even against national level players. But why did she suddenly change her mind? Plus her final words, man chosen by the king. Could she know the king too? Just then, Paul Becker beside him suggested to Taehyun Kim, why don't you hire a guide? But he refused after all. The matter was concluded, and it was time for him to go home. Scene change. A young Yu had just completed her discharge procedures. A group of people were slowly walking toward her. Guild leader, congratulations on your discharge, said Jong Hansu, the magician of the Nightwalker Guild, an A-rank player and deputy guild leader. He brought two pieces of news for a young Yu. Player Taehyun Kim had returned from the depths of the abyss. Though a young Yu was surprised by this after all, that place was known as the graveyard of S-rank players. Even Taehyun Kim couldn't explore it alone. However, Taehyun Kim's return wasn't really the issue. The issue was, who went to see him now? He is the leader of Unbroken, the Battle Guild, one of the four major guilds. Player Gang Yuk-wan. Scene change, Gang Yuk-wan suddenly appeared before Taehyun Kim. Let's start the battle. Then slowly walked toward Taehyun Kim. Gang Yuk-wan, he is the guild leader of one of the four major guilds, known as the Strongest Tank. He once fought monsters alone for about 10 hours, eventually eliminating hundreds of monsters. And his most famous incident was forcing people to join the guild through duels. At this point, Secretary Kim immediately stopped his behavior. Could you restrain yourself a bit? If you continue like this, you won't even be able to enter the abyss. Then she began explaining to Taehyun Kim that they were actually here to invite Taehyun Kim to join the guild. If Taehyun Kim expressed willingness to join, then a duel wouldn't be necessary. Doesn't that mean if he didn't want to join, a duel would be mandatory? Of course, but she believed joining the guild would be a good proposal for him, because she knew Taehyun Kim was preparing to participate in the Asian exhibition games, and they were the guild with the most progress in exploring the abyss among the four major guilds, not only possessing numerous dungeon resources but also able to provide assistance for abyss exploration. If Taehyun Kim was willing to join, it would be enough to compensate for his lack of contribution value. Hearing this, Taehyun Kim fell into deep thought. At this moment, the guild leader signaled her not to continue. If he could be persuaded so easily, he would have joined some guild long ago. Now Taehyun Kim murmured, I've changed my mind. Let's resolve this your way. The winner gets what they want. Of course, that suits me perfectly. Scene change. A sports arena was already packed with people. They were all eagerly anticipating the duel between Taehyun Kim and Gang Yuk-wan. Just then, a figure caught his attention. It was reporter Kim. So Taehyun Kim pulled her to the front. Long time no see, reporter Kim, we met during the player exam, right? Of course, she confirmed. Then Taehyun Kim announced to everyone that she would answer the upcoming questions as he had to participate in the duel. Then he turned and left. Moments later, Taehyun Kim slowly walked onto the stage. Gang Yuk-wan said, I thought you wouldn't come because you were afraid. And Taehyun Kim responded confidently, enough talk, let's start the battle. Just as the battle was about to begin, commentator Choi explained the duel rules to everyone. There's only one condition for victory, and that is to defeat the opponent. As soon as he finished speaking, both sides unleashed powerful magic. At the same time, Taehyun Kim first used Zeal of the Night Lord to attack. Now this skill's power had been greatly enhanced, capable of subduing even S-rank players. But clearly, this skill had no effect on him. However, he still praised Taehyun Kim. Well done. The next second, he instantly appeared behind Taehyun Kim, with cheetah-like speed that left Taehyun Kim unable to react. Then he swung with full force. The powerful impact was like a tiger pouncing on its prey, immediately sending Taehyun Kim flying tens of meters away. If he hadn't used stone skin to block it, the consequences would have been unimaginable. While Taehyun Kim was still dazed, Gangyuk-gwan attacked again. Now magic energy condensed into a pair of bull horns on his forehead. The next second, a charging bull attack rushed toward Taehyun Kim, but he dodged it by sidestepping. Then the silhouette of an elephant appeared behind him, followed by a heavy leg strike crashing into the ground. When the mist cleared, Taehyun Kim's figure was still standing before him. Seems your escape skills are quite good, but how are you going to win this duel? Unless you have another hidden beast, winning this duel won't be easy. Hearing this, Gangyuk-gwan immediately became interested. Then let me show you, I'll end this duel with this move. In an instant, the surrounding crowd erupted with excitement, because this was the guild leader's final attack form. It seemed that even the rising star couldn't match the guild leader. Even a Youngyu was watching all this with great interest, but Jung Han-soo reminded her that if Taehyun Kim lost, he would be forced to join the guild, so we must stop the duel. Player Gangyuk-gwan's skill, Blessing of the Beasts, allows him to mimic various animal powers, demonstrating great power in close combat. Even against player Taehyun Kim, he has no chance of winning. But a Youngyu indicated he shouldn't worry. After all, in Taehyun Kim's growth so far, he always hides an ace in battle. The next second, Gangyuk-gwan attacked Taehyun Kim with full force, yet he appeared completely composed. In the instant they clashed, everyone was utterly shocked. Because Gangyuk-gwan had knelt down, even he himself was extremely confused. It seems I've won. Looking at everything happening in the arena, everyone present was extremely shocked. The guild leader who had conquered hundreds of dungeons actually kneeling on his own. Obviously, they didn't believe what they were seeing. They all thought Taehyun Kim had used some kind of trick. Now Taehyun Kim looked at Gangyuk-gwan. Indeed, he is the man known as the strongest tank. In close combat, he had absolutely no chance of winning. If Taehyun Kim hadn't used his hypnosis skill at the last moment, the winner of this duel would definitely have been him. Now Gangyuk-gwan felt extremely angry. I didn't expect him to use a mental control skill. I was careless. Then he shouted to everyone, "Quiet down. I don't know what skill he used, but I admit I lost. If you're a member of the guild, just accept this result." Meanwhile, a young Yu was watching all this with great interest. Looks like he was really angered by Taehyun Kim. By the way, in just an instant, that guy Gangyuk-gwan actually knelt down. He really did have a hidden skill. Taehyun Kim, the real Yu, always surprises me. After the duel ended, Taehyun Kim slowly extended his right hand. It was a good match. At this time, Gangyuk-gwan asked him about his confusion. Did you plan to do this from the beginning? Indeed, in a sense, yes. Though he was quite helpless, a promise is a promise. So tell me what you want most, countless wealth or unique items? Neither. The Minotaur's Labyrinth. I want to participate in its conquest. On the other side, when the director learned of this, he was extremely shocked because the Minotaur's Labyrinth was a dungeon near the entrance of the abyss. As its name suggests, it was filled with countless traps and complex spaces, so people with perception abilities must be brought there. Many guilds and S-rank players who attempted to conquer it ended in failure. Currently, the Unbroken Guild has the rights to conquer the labyrinth and plans to do so secretly. How did player Taehyun Kim learn about this? Won't this cause problems? Of course, the guild leader still felt somewhat uneasy. After all, you never know what might happen in the abyss. But now all they could do was trust Taehyun Kim. However, what worried him most wasn't the dungeon difficulty. But people, I hope my concerns don't become reality. Just then, an urgent notification came from the screen. The J-Country Players Association has contacted us. What urgent matter? The East Point affair should have been resolved. The Saint has sent an invitation to Taehyun Kim. Hearing this, the guild leader was extremely shocked. Scene change. At the large-scale gate control room in the association building basement, Secretary Kim was counting the personnel. There are 100 people participating in the labyrinth conquest, all present. Then, under the guild leader's leadership, everyone slowly advanced toward the labyrinth entrance. Moments later, accompanied by a huge roar, everyone began fighting the monsters in the labyrinth. A figure flashed by, instantly killing the surrounding minotaurs. I didn't expect you to be quite capable. How's the weapon working for you? It's pretty good. This was originally prepared for when you joined the guild. Atheron, item rarity, rare. At this time, Taehyun Kim curiously asked him, are you sure you really want to conquer the labyrinth? In the past 30 years, no one has been able to conquer this dungeon. If no special measures are taken, this conquest won't be easy. But Secretary Kim indicated he shouldn't worry, because those participating in the conquest were at least B-rank veterans. They could easily eliminate monsters. And the Vice Guild leader is using perception skills to help us clear all the traps in the labyrinth. We even found clues about the labyrinth several months ago. In the depths of the abyss, we discovered monsters that seemed to have come from the labyrinth. The marks on its body were identical to the labyrinth marks. When we touched it, everything except the bull horns turned to dust, and this means they could use tracking skills to find the path leading to the interior of the labyrinth. Moments later, under the Vice Guild leader's leadership, everyone reached the end of the labyrinth. A huge minotaur statue stood before their eyes. Is it necessary to install the broken horn? Then Gangyuk-gwan signaled Secretary Kim to to bring over the broken horn. So far, everything happening here is exactly the same as before the return. The raid team found the end of the labyrinth and used the Minotaur's broken horn. But after that, something bad happened. At the same time, the guild leader immediately installed the broken horn. The next second, the statue slowly dissipated, then turned into white bones. When they came to their senses, they found themselves in an unfamiliar environment, so it was activated after all. A teleportation trap. Meanwhile, the vice president of the malignant guild, Shadow, received information. Did Taehyun Kim also join the labyrinth exploration team? Indeed. What should we do now? As soon as you give the order, I'll immediately stop the battle plan. But Shadow refused. There are 5 S-rank demons who have infiltrated the exploration team. Counting the A-rank demons, there are 20. No matter how capable Taehyun Kim and Gang Yuk-won are, their abilities are limited. Don't you want to see how they die? On the other side, Miranda was introducing herself to everyone. But the next second, Taehyun Kim suddenly kicked her flying. Stop spouting nonsense, damn demon. Her true identity was the S-rank demon Malena. Now B-rank player Song-Hoo Park felt like the sky was falling. He had thought Taehyun Kim, like the guild leader, was a respectable figure, but he never expected him to attack his own teammate. You don't need to worry, she's a demon. However, he couldn't listen to Taehyun Kim's words. Then he pulled out a weapon and attacked Taehyun Kim, just as he was about to help Malena up. The next second, she suddenly threw a punch that hit him hard in the face. Disgusting pig, how dare you touch me? At the same time, 2 demons attacked Taehyun Kim first, but he dodged with a flash step, and he was surprised. I didn't expect there to be 3 demons. If I had known, I would have remembered the names of those extras. Now Malena asked puzzledly, I've been hiding in the guild for so many years without being discovered. How did you discover me? And Taehyun Kim calmly answered, don't worry, your acting had no problems, but I'm a person who has traveled from the future. But obviously she didn't believe Taehyun Kim's words. I heard you get along well with a young you. Did Nightwalker discover something? But it doesn't matter anyway, because you must die here today. Now facing the continuous attacks from the 3, Taehyun Kim dodged with ease, then used the chain skill to severely injure 2 of them. At the same time, Malena's claw attack came straight at him, so he quickly swung his sword to block it. Now Malena was extremely shocked, because her witch's claw would emit toxins that cause abnormal status effects. However, this seemed to have no effect on Taehyun Kim. Just then, Taehyun Kim suddenly used Zeal of the Night Lord. Unfortunately, your toxins don't work on me. The next second, an invisible force instantly acted on her, immediately pressing her so she couldn't move. Then, Taehyun Kim used his complete hypnosis skill on her. How many of you are infiltrating the team? Quickly state your purpose for infiltrating. The infiltrators include a total of 20 people, including 5 S-rank. Our purpose is to prevent you from successfully conquering the labyrinth, and to eliminate guild leader Gang Yuk-won. Now Taehyun Kim fell into thought, 5 S-rank demons? But I remember there were only 3 before the return. Just like the teleportation gate that time, the future is gradually changing. Is it because of me? Now that we know their purpose, let's go meet up with player Gang Yuk-won. Although it looks like a completely different space, this is ultimately part of the labyrinth. Then there must be a passage connecting other spaces somewhere. Because the passage connects countless spaces, we can't immediately reach our destination. But as long as we keep passing through the passages, we will definitely encounter player Gang Yuk-won. At this time, Song-Hoo Park raised his confusion. Since you knew about this already, why didn't you announce it to everyone earlier? I already said it, believe it or not. But Gang Yuk-won knows about this. On the other side, facing the vice guild leader's betrayal, the guild leader still had an expression of disbelief. But when they were about to attack the secretary, he quickly stood in front of her. At the same time, everyone activated their abilities to attack the guild leader. Seeing this, Gang Yuk-won immediately erupted with magic power. The next second, the T-Rex attack form appeared before everyone. With just one strike, he sent them flying. Stay put, you're no match for those guys. Just then the vice guild leader's voice sounded, Gang Yuk-won, you're already struggling to take care of yourself. I've been hiding my strength all along. Among everyone present, at least 4 are S rank, the rest are all A rank. We came here to eliminate you, the elite members of the malignant guild, here to kill you. It seems you've prepared quite thoroughly. I didn't expect I would misjudge. This is a plan our malignant guild has prepared for many years. How could you possibly detect it? At this moment, Gang Yuk-won suddenly revealed a smile. Damn, that guy Taehyun Kim was right. You are all demons, and even came here to eliminate me. Hearing this, the vice guild leader was extremely shocked. He actually knows our plan. But more than that, why did he tell you everything, yet you didn't take any precautions? As a guild leader, how could I easily believe something without evidence? At the same time, the vice guild leader suddenly attacked the guild leader. But Gang Yuk-won looked very helpless. I just said I wouldn't doubt teammates. But that doesn't mean I'll just take a beating. With an extremely fierce punch from Gang Yuk-won, he sent the vice guild leader flying tens of meters away. Blessing of the beast form old dragon. Just after Gang Yuk-won knocked out the vice guild leader with one punch, he recalled Taehyun Kim's words. I've already told you all the information, yet you still won't eliminate them? And he responded, you don't think my strength is just what you've seen, do you? Rest assured, I only said I would trust teammates. But that doesn't mean I'll just take a beating. At the same time, Taehyun Kim and Song-Hoo Park finally arrived before them. So what do you plan to do next? What else can we do? We can only retreat for now. There might be other demons here, and we've reached the end of the labyrinth but still haven't seen the labyrinth boss. It's a bit frustrating, but before suffering greater losses, we can only aim to leave here safely. Sorry, Taehyun Kim, if I had listened to your advice, this wouldn't have happened. Just make sure you remember, although we didn't get contribution points and wasted time, this is the most correct choice. After all, his information about the labyrinth conquest was very fragmentary. If more changes occurred to the future here, who knows what variables would appear. At this time, the secretary suddenly asked, "Are there no monsters or traps in the other spaces?" Hearing this, Taehyun Kim suddenly felt a jolt in his heart. If it were an ordinary space transfer trap, the transferred spaces should be full of traps and monsters, but they had only walked through various spaces that posed no threat to players. If there were no monsters and traps, then how did Gang Yekwon encounter the labyrinth boss before the return? As everyone was thinking, a huge black shadow suddenly appeared in the sky before everyone. Final boss of the Minotaur's labyrinth, Grand Minotaur Queen rank S+. Could this be the labyrinth boss? Why did it appear at this time? Everyone was extremely shocked. The next second, it suddenly attacked everyone. Seeing this, Taehyun Kim and Gang Yekwon decisively used their abilities to attack it. Just then, a strong light erupted from the staff in the boss's hand. Then a huge Minotaur skeleton appeared beneath them. Revived by the Minotaur Queen's powers, King, rank S. Now both of them were stunned. How did another S-rank monster appear at this time? At the same time, countless Minotaur beasts rose from the ground. Then a voice sounded, "Those who wander in our labyrinth, those who disturb our sleep, don't worry, come in. Your hostility and malice, I will bear it all." Now facing the encirclement of monsters, the guild leader struck first with full force. The powerful impact instantly shattered the Minotaur beasts. At the same time, Taehyun Kim used chain skills for support. The next second, the guild leader gathered magic in his mouth. Then a dragon's breath went straight for the monsters. In no time, all monsters were burned to ashes. Just when the two thought they had completely eliminated them, they now showed expressions of extreme shock because the Minotaur beasts actually possessed amazing regenerative abilities. The wounds on the Minotaur beast that had just been defeated suddenly regenerated with fresh flesh and blood. Gang Yekwon and Taehyun Kim stared at this scene before them in shock and suspicion. However, they quickly regained their composure and defeated the resurrected Minotaur beast once again. Gang Yekwon struck with all his might, punching through another Minotaur beast's head. But the Minotaur beast's shattered head began healing again. Gang Yekwon was furious. These Minotaur beasts were numerous and could heal from fatal wounds. Perhaps they needed to completely kill the giant Minotaur Queen to clear the dungeon. But Gang Yekwon was already reaching his limit. Even if he could land a punch on it, it probably wouldn't be very effective. If he got entangled with the giant Minotaur Queen, he couldn't protect Secretary Kim and Song-Hoo Park. If he kept pushing himself, Taehyun Kim would reach his limit too, and then they would all die. Gang Yekwon gritted his teeth and thought. He didn't know what he should do. What choice could he make to get everyone out alive? Gang Yekwon recalled his conversations with the association president. He often told Gang Yekwon to stay alert at all times, that strength alone couldn't solve every problem. Having been an awakener for so long, Gang Yekwon had fallen into various dangerous situations. Sometimes, Gang Yekwon had no choice but to sacrifice more precious things to protect the greater good. The president also emphasized that Gang Yekwon needed sufficient self-awareness, and that he must be able to abandon more important things for the sake of his goals. Back then, Gang Yekwon was too arrogant and completely ignored these words. Thinking of this, Gang Yekwon suppressed his aura and calmed his chaotic thoughts. Taehyun Kim was still fighting hard, thinking to himself, how could he be spacing out, since whether they killed the enemies or not, his companions would still die. Then he would protect his companions' lives until his own death. He couldn't watch his teammates die, he roared, his aura surging dramatically. Even if he died, he would die first. Gang Yekwon forcibly entered his enhanced state and punched through the Minotaur beast behind Taehyun Kim. Then he asked Taehyun Kim, what should we do next? I don't want to make any choices. I only know that protecting companions means fighting until strength fails and battle ends. Taehyun Kim didn't know what Gang Yekwon was muttering to himself about, but he knew how to defeat the giant Minotaur Queen. Gang Yekwon was stunned for a moment when he heard Taehyun Kim's method, but now he could only trust Taehyun Kim. Then he punched through several more Minotaur beasts. Even though he had many doubts, his physical condition only allowed him to cover Taehyun Kim's assault. The giant Minotaur Queen was extremely excited. It had been a long time since she'd seen such brave humans. She poured magic power into her artifact and summoned Minotaur warriors again. Gang Yekwon and Taehyun Kim were blocked by the Minotaur warriors once more. Taehyun Kim leaped high into the air. Magic power gathered in his mouth as his entire aura continuously surged into his throat. After finishing his charge, Gang Yekwon directly attacked the blocking Minotaur beasts. The giant Minotaur Queen raised her shield to block the attack. When she lowered her shield, The scene before her eyes made her whole body tremble. Taehyun Kim used Gangyuk Gwan's blast wave to fly up, closing the distance once again. He summoned the zeal of the Night Lord, now at a distance close enough to attack the giant Minotaur Queen. After Gangyuk Gwan's ultimate strike, his aura weakened dramatically. His enhanced state nearly dissolved. The rest was up to Taehyun Kim now. Taehyun Kim controlled the zeal of the Night Lord to catch the giant Minotaur Queen's strike. His other hand firmly gripped the Queen's throat, preventing her from moving. Then he slammed her hard against the barrier. Taehyun Kim continued to increase his strength, directly smashing a gap in the barrier. Gangyuk Gwan, while his enhanced state still lasted, chased out of the barrier to follow Taehyun Kim. The giant Minotaur Queen tried to attack Taehyun Kim, but was firmly restrained by the zeal of the Night Lord. After Gangyuk Gwan caught up to Taehyun Kim, he asked what the plan was. Taehyun Kim explained that many spaces were connected in this dungeon. The Minotaur beasts that were defeated earlier could regenerate because the giant Minotaur Queen crossed through spatial rifts. Now that the giant Minotaur Queen was knocked out of this space, those Minotaur beasts shouldn't be able to regenerate anymore. Hearing this, Gangyuk Gwan returned to kill those Minotaur beasts. If Taehyun Kim guessed wrong, all of them would die here. Taehyun Kim said, "If we don't try this, we'll die anyway." At this moment, Secretary Kim and Songhu Park were utterly shocked by the scene before them. Taehyun Kim's gamble paid off. The regeneration effect of these Minotaur beasts truly disappeared. Outside the space, the giant Minotaur Queen was still struggling. The giant Minotaur Queen had never been this angry. She was actually being suppressed by humans. She seized a gap in Taehyun Kim's defense and directly swung her axe at him. Watching the giant axe gradually approaching, Taehyun Kim no longer had time to dodge or defend. But Gangyuk Gwan, covered in blood, suddenly burst forth with astonishing speed and charged over. The giant axe struck down heavily, instantly erupting with blinding light. The giant Minotaur Queen was thrown back by this massive impact. Taehyun Kim was slammed hard against the bones. He struggled to sit up, thinking he had taken the attack himself, but the scene before his eyes pained his heart. Gangyuk Gwan, forced out of his enhanced state, knelt on the ground. His magic power was greatly depleted, and one of his arms had been severed. Taehyun Kim realized that Gangyuk Gwan had forcibly blocked that axe strike to save him. Gangyuk Gwan roared, "Taehyun Kim, don't get distracted. The battle isn't over yet." But Taehyun Kim knew clearly that Gangyuk Gwan's magic power was nearly exhausted now. Even so, he still stood in front of Taehyun Kim. The giant Minotaur Queen came charging from the darkness, swinging her giant axe. Gangyuk Gwan forcibly gathered his last remaining magic power in his fist. How could Taehyun Kim watch Gangyuk Gwan die before his eyes? He angrily raised his weapon to meet the giant axe, but in their current state, they couldn't possibly block the giant Minotaur Queen's attack. The giant Minotaur Queen swung down her axe, the massive impact sending both of them flying. She mocked, "What pitiful and laughable humans. I didn't expect you could knock me out of that space. But if you don't attack the Minotaur warriors, I don't need to make them regenerate, which means I'm now at my full power." Having said that, she lifted her foot and aimed to stomp on Taehyun Kim. Taehyun Kim picked up his weapon again to counter, but in the face of absolute strength, everything he did was futile. The giant Minotaur Queen attacked Taehyun Kim frantically. The giant Minotaur Queen's attacks were heavy and powerful. Taehyun Kim simply couldn't withstand them. If he didn't use gluttony, he would certainly die next, but if he forcibly used gluttony, it might not defeat the giant Minotaur Queen. In that case, gluttony would definitely go berserk and forcibly seize control of Taehyun Kim's body. But with his magic power also nearly depleted, this was his only option. As his consciousness faded, Taehyun Kim recalled what a young Yu had told him. Skills could be changed. The key was in how people use them. A player's method of operation and power adjustment could directly affect a skill's expression. The same skill could be used in different ways. Taehyun Kim had often used skills in combination before in battle. If one's mastery of a skill wasn't high enough, one could try enchanting it onto weapons. Taehyun Kim's gluttony was perfect for this, so Taehyun Kim directly enchanted gluttony onto his weapon and struck the giant Minotaur Queen hard. Taehyun Kim's sudden burst left the giant Minotaur Queen confused. Gluttony didn't go berserk. Taehyun Kim succeeded. His magic power transformed into gluttony's crimson red, his surging aura no longer weakened. The giant Minotaur Queen attacked again, thinking Taehyun Kim was making a dying struggle. Taehyun Kim quickly continued enchanting. Now he would take the initiative. His form became a flowing shadow, like lightning as he attacked the giant Minotaur Queen. Taehyun Kim attacked various parts of the giant Minotaur Queen in an extremely short time. He deepened the degree of gluttony enchantment on his weapon, then quickly attacked the giant Minotaur Queen's weapon. The giant axe was devoured by gluttony. The staff also suffered heavy damage and was completely destroyed. Chains carrying gluttony's effect shot rapidly toward the giant Minotaur Queen. The giant Minotaur Queen's shoulder was directly pierced by the chains. Intense pain came from her shoulder, and the giant Minotaur Queen wailed in agony. Seeing the attack taking effect, Taehyun Kim summoned the zeal of the Night Lord and enchanted it with gluttony. A heavy punch directly knocked the giant Minotaur Queen to the ground. Taehyun Kim had felt it before. Gluttony would change form according to his will. Although his understanding of gluttony wasn't comprehensive, now he could enchant gluttony onto weapons and skills, using it to cause extremely terrifying damage. This was something Taehyun Kim could control on his own. The giant Minotaur Queen was directly slashed through the body by Taehyun Kim. Gluttony continuously devoured her. As long as Taehyun Kim could still use gluttony, he would fully utilize the power he could control. The giant Minotaur Queen's consciousness gradually faded as her flesh was devoured by gluttony. Then it fell to the ground. The gluttony effect still continuing on its body, it was completely defeated. The spatial barrier began shattering with its death. The boss was defeated, and the entire space began trembling violently. A female team member suddenly screamed in terror. Everyone's eyes followed her gaze. At the end of the space, Taehyun Kim was slowly walking out, carrying the unconscious Gangyuk Gwan on his back. Taehyun Kim said wearily, "It's all over." Afterward, the raid team found countless gold and silver treasures in the labyrinth. The most valuable was the Spring of Vitality. Drinking it could make ability values soar rapidly. But there was only enough spring water for 2 people, and the raid team unanimously agreed it should go to Taehyun Kim and Gangyuk Gwan. Gangyuk Gwan, who lost his right arm and a large amount of ability values, said any improvement would count. Thus, the labyrinth raid was completed. After Gangyuk Gwan recovered, he held a press conference. Because his right hand was severed, he needed to rest for a while, and someone would attend the Continental Friendship Competition in his absence. It was none other than Taehyun Kim, who fought alongside Gangyuk Gwan in the labyrinth. Taehyun Kim announced before the cameras that he would attend the friendship competition in place of Gangyuk Gwan. On another side, Miranda knelt on the ground, begging Shadow to spare her life. She acted according to instructions, but Taehyun Kim was too strong. Shadow directly blew Miranda's head off. He gave no chances to those who fled back out of fear of death. According to the plan, Gangyuk Gwan should have died in the labyrinth, but Taehyun Kim appeared. This wasn't the first time Taehyun Kim had ruined Shadow's plans. Shadow would need to plan something at the friendship competition. On another side, Taehyun Kim was led by his assistant to meet all the players on the representative team: S-rank player Jang Jin-soo, S-rank player Seo Han Gye, S-rank player Guak Si-yang, and Park Song-jin, whom Taehyun Kim knew. After Taehyun Kim arrived, the Continental Friendship Competition meeting officially began. Taehyun Kim wanted to find the succubus queen Rosaria from his past life memories. She might know information about Taehyun Kim's rebirth. For this, he needed to win the friendship competition rewards to strengthen himself. After the battle arrangements were completed, the meeting ended. When Taehyun Kim prepared to leave with everyone else, he was called by the president. It turned out that the Saint of J Country had specifically requested to see Taehyun Kim. The president hoped Taehyun Kim would accept the invitation because she possessed super regeneration abilities. In that case, perhaps Gangyuk Gwan's severed arm could be restored. Taehyun Kim calmly declined. Tae-Yuke-go immediately questioned why, but the president stopped him. The president solemnly asked Taehyun Kim for his reason for refusing. Taehyun Kim explained, "The reason is simple. I know the ugly truth hidden behind the name Saint." 1 week later, the highly anticipated Continental Friendship Competition officially began. Representative teams from various countries were all composed of S-rank players. Among them was one of the strongest teams, J Country's team led by Nakata Shinji. P Country's team consisted of Blood Sword Lee Yu-pung, Divine Speed Chae Young-myung, and Strange Strength Seo Yi-sim. In front of the TV, his cousin cheered frantically for Taehyun Kim. The cousin's craziness made his parents want to find someone to exercise him. At the friendship competition venue, a purple-haired woman stopped Taehyun Kim. The woman said that Taehyun Kim had helped her during the East Point incident. The woman's exaggerated body curves and captivating face attracted most people's gazes. She was none other than J Country's saint, Megawaseka. Only then did Taehyun Kim recall that in his previous life, it was the saint who handled the East Point incident. Megawaseka explained the reason for the invitation. She wanted to see Taehyun Kim and thank him in person. But what annoyed her was that Taehyun Kim actually refused. Taehyun Kim didn't immediately answer her question, but directly walked past her. Then he softly repeated the words he had said to the president. Megawaseka raised the corner of her mouth playfully at his words. Watching Taehyun Kim walk away calmly, she became more interested in him. Nakata Shinji quickly walked up behind Megawaseka and asked about the situation. Megawaseka repeated what Taehyun Kim said, and Nakata Shinji's expression darkened. He asked Megawaseka if she wanted him to eliminate Taehyun Kim now. Megawaseka said no need, because in her view, Taehyun Kim's growth wasn't surprising. What surprised her was Taehyun Kim's intelligence capabilities. Every action he took seemed to have sufficient intelligence, and this intelligence was very accurate. Now Taehyun Kim even knew information about Megawaseka, which greatly interested her. Under the host's guidance, the Continental Friendship Competition officially began. Park Song-jin suddenly noticed that Taehyun Kim wasn't in the team. The host had just announced the start when a sharp cold light flashed across his neck. Then Alex's head flew out along with the blade's light. It was Taehyun Kim, who had enchanted gluttony onto his weapon and severed the host's neck. A confused expression had just appeared on the host's face when his consciousness completely faded. Shocked expressions appeared on the audience members' faces one after another. A great battle was about to break out. P Country's S-rank players coordinated with J Country's S-rank players to surround Taehyun Kim. Taehyun Kim's teammates immediately engaged the players nearest to them. They couldn't let Taehyun Kim get injured. Seo Yi-sim had long wanted to strike at Taehyun Kim, and now seizing the opportunity, he launched a lethal attack. Nakata Shinji also knew now was the easiest time to kill Taehyun Kim. But the people from Nightwalker Association wouldn't let them kill Taehyun Kim. Multiple S-rank players fought simultaneously, and the massive smoke from explosions covered the situation on stage. When the smoke cleared, Taehyun Kim was protected in the middle by his teammates. Seo Yi-sim had no intention of stopping and continued approaching with killing intent. He said, "I'll kill you all to avenge the host." On another side, Nakata Shinji was stopped by the Saint. However, she only told Nakata Shinji to spare Taehyun Kim's life. The others could be killed at will. At this moment, the ex-country association president, where the host belonged, appeared with many members. She completely ignored the Nightwalker Association president's explanation and angrily demanded Taehyun Kim's immediate arrest. Taehyun Kim spoke, Demon Won, an S-rank demon who committed serial killings on a cruise ship several years ago. Taehyun Kim's voice wasn't loud, but everyone present could hear him. Won earned enough bounty and then changed his face to hide. The ex-country president didn't understand. She questioned what relationship this had to Taehyun Kim killing the host. Soon she realized, cold sweat streaming down. Could it be? Taehyun Kim said, "That's right, Won's disguise technique is extremely powerful, just like the one under my foot." Under Taehyun Kim's foot was none other than Won, who had revealed his true form. Everyone present was shocked. Taehyun Kim said, "If not for our Nightwalker Guild, you would never have discovered his true identity." Everyone was amazed. How did Nightwalker Association discover this? Only Lee Yu-pung showed a sinister smile. Taehyun Kim had successfully caught his interest. After confirming the host was disguised by Demon Won, Z Country's points reached 1,000. The scene shifted. The representative team players all set out to hunt demons and demon people. In a small alley on a rainy night, a man was knocked down into a pile of debris. A rank demon mosquito didn't know how the man before him discovered him. Taehyun Kim said the mosquito tattoo on his chest was so big, it was hard not to notice him. Taehyun Kim had just answered the phone when a young Yu's super loud voice nearly deafened him. A young Yu said she was using an anti-surveillance phone to call him. Taehyun Kim said he just happened to have two things to ask her. She quickly inquired what they were. Taehyun Kim waited for her to calm down before stating his requests. One was about intelligence on demons, the other was asking her to help investigate. Taehyun Kim turned and walked out from where he defeated Mosquito. His eyes stared fiercely ahead at someone, and he told a young Yu he was going to the evil guild. The person Taehyun Kim stared at wore a straw raincoat and bamboo hat standing in the rain, making no effort to hide his killing intent. Seeing Taehyun Kim come out, the man was about to announce his name. A young Yu quickly asked, "What Kimura?" Taehyun Kim said they'd talk later. Kimura shouted, "Die, you bastard who defiled the saint's name." A young Yu continued asking what she defiled. Taehyun Kim was speechless. He didn't expect J Country's S-rank player Kimura would attack him. Taehyun Kim remembered this person was a fanatical fan of the saint, and Kimura also had the title of Sword Master, said to be the strongest swordsman besides Nakata Shinji. But no matter how strong the sword, if it couldn't hit anyone, it was useless. Taehyun Kim casually dodged Kimura's attacks while asking a young Yu why she was refusing him. Damn it! Unable to land a single hit on Taehyun Kim, Kimura was furious. Why could someone like Taehyun Kim dodge all his attacks? A young Yu explained, once demon associations are discovered, they immediately scatter everywhere. After escaping, they hide again. This is why associations don't strike at them. Taehyun Kim continued dodging each of Kimura's attacks. He caught Kimura's post-strike delay and suddenly charged up his left hand for a strike. Kimura tried to dodge, but it was too late. He was sent flying by Taehyun Kim's slap, vomiting blood continuously. Kimura crashed heavily to the ground, unconscious and unable to rise again. Taehyun Kim told a young Yu he could definitely catch the demons if he acted. He knew a young Yu wouldn't easily believe him, so he brought up previous matters, attempting to forcefully convince a young Yu. A young Yu couldn't persuade Taehyun Kim, so she had to tell him she had very little intelligence on the evil guild, but she could provide intelligence on the three giants of the demon group. She heard they had tracked down the whereabouts of one of the executives, Miyazaki Kenji's contact person. Taehyun Kim thought to himself, although the three giants weren't as good as the evil guild, they should also be worth quite a few points. So he decisively agreed with a young Yu to handle the three giants first. At this moment, Kimura, who had been knocked unconscious by Taehyun Kim, stood up trembling. Taehyun Kim had just hung up the phone when he saw Kimura stand up. Kimura said, "Are you planning to keep ignoring me? If so, I'll kill everyone nearby too." Then he began continuously pouring magic power into his sword, then charged toward Taehyun Kim with imposing momentum. Taehyun Kim thought, doesn't he know fighting between contestants is prohibited? Since he wants to fight, I'll play with him. Then Taehyun Kim summoned the zeal of the Night Lord enchanted with gluttony. The terrifying aura made Kimura break out in cold sweat. He was too scared to dodge. On another side, Nakata Shinji said, Kimura was defeated. I announced publicly he was attacked by demons. After Kimura returned, he kept repeating one sentence. I suspect he suffered a mental attack. Nakata Shinji asked if he needed to act personally. The saint said, if even you don't fight in the friendship competition, then what about the points? As soon as she finished speaking, they arrived at a locked room door. Megawa Seika said, inside is the person I specially prepared for Taehyun Kim. After opening the door, Nakata Shinji followed Megawa Seika inside. They saw a muscular man restrained against the wall. Hearing the door open, the man raised his head. Megawa Seika said, Isaka Ryohei, now it's time to work for me. On another side, somewhere unknown in the abyss, a fierce battle was underway. F Country S-rank player Luca was beaten back violently. She gasped and questioned the person before her, "Why are you killing us?" The person she questioned was none other than P country's Seo Yi-sim. Seo Yi-sim said he didn't know why either. It was the president's request anyway. He didn't bother fighting these weaklings, but someone asked him to, so he did it in passing. Luca couldn't believe P country's association would directly order the killing of other nations' players. Could they be trying to start a war? Thinking this, Luca quickly told her teammates to escape. After all, she could only barely buy a little time for her teammates' escape. After her teammates ran away, Luca immediately assumed a defensive stance. Seo Yi-sim charged up to her with his fist. 5 seconds later, Luca lay on the ground, blood continuously seeping from her back. She was dead. Her teammates were also caught up to and killed by Seo Yi-sim. Seo Yi-sim said, "F country's people were too weak. The X country people Chae Young-myung is handling are more fun." Seo Yi-sim thought about it and realized his next target was very interesting. At this time, Taehyun Kim was sitting on a hotel bed and watching the news. In Taehyun Kim's memory, P country players shouldn't start attacking other players until 3 days later, because P country's strongest player hadn't come, and the attack incident was arranged by him. The attack incident was moved up. It seemed he also needed to hurry. Taehyun Kim was thinking when someone suddenly knocked on the door. Taehyun Kim asked who was outside. Unexpectedly, Jang Jin-soo's voice came from outside. According to the plan, Jang Jin-soo shouldn't be here at this time. The battle plan didn't include any arrangement for Taehyun Kim and Jang Jin-soo to meet. Jang Jin-soo spoke again, saying he learned of Taehyun Kim's location from the association. Hearing Jang Jin-soo tell him to go out and chat, Taehyun Kim's expression darkened. After Taehyun Kim followed him to the rooftop, Jang Jin-soo scolded him. "Acting on your own at the opening ceremony, now acting alone again. Do you have any team consciousness?" Hearing this, Taehyun Kim was stunned. He seemed to have heard the same words somewhere before. Jang Jin-soo said, "I'm also in charge of demons. Why didn't you discuss it with me?" Taehyun Kim had no choice but to tell him about being attacked by Kimura. Hearing this, Jang Jin-soo's anger immediately dissipated by more than half. He didn't expect it to be like this. Taehyun Kim voiced his inner doubt. Was there a mole inside the association? Otherwise, how would Kimura know his location? Jang Jin-soo broke out in cold sweat and said, "If that's the case, then this is very troublesome." Then he quickly said, "That made it even more necessary to act in teams." Taehyun Kim interrupted him and asked what if they encountered a national-level combatant. Moreover, when he discovered Demon Won, Taehyun Kim believed there was a mole in the team. If the one attacking association players was a national-level combatant, both he and Jang Jin-soo would die. Acting separately could preserve strength instead, and anyone could be the mole. Don't team up until finding the mole. Then Taehyun Kim bid farewell to Jang Jin-soo. Jang Jin-soo wanted to say something, but Taehyun Kim had already disappeared from his view. Jang Jin-soo gritted his teeth and cursed, "That bastard? He's just a newbie who just became a player. Stop being so self-righteous, I'll definitely make you regret this." However, in fact, Taehyun Kim had only used his invisibility skill. Taehyun Kim looked at Jang Jin-soo angrily making threats below. He thought to himself, could Jang Jin-soo be the mole? Before rebirth, Taehyun Kim hadn't heard news about a mole. Although he didn't know who it was, Kimura's appearance confirmed the mole's existence. Taehyun Kim was thinking when a young Yu transmitted the three giants' intelligence to him. The next day, Taehyun Kim found Miyazaki Kenji's contact person eating breakfast. Taehyun Kim didn't expect the person to actually be a high school student, so Taehyun Kim decided to wait until after school when they went to find Miyazaki Kenji and follow them. At this moment, the man next to Taehyun Kim suddenly called out his name and said it had been a long time. Taehyun Kim froze. He had hidden so well. When the man turned around, Taehyun Kim recognized him as Isaka Ryohei. Isaka Ryohei said he wasn't here to fight Taehyun Kim. Taehyun Kim didn't understand why someone sentenced to life imprisonment would appear here. Seeing Taehyun Kim full of vigilance, Isaka Ryohei raised his fist. Under Taehyun Kim's shocked gaze, he punched and shattered the glass in front of him. Taehyun Kim suddenly stood up wanting to stop him, but it was too late. The contact persons, whose attention was drawn by the shattering glass, looked over. Then they recognized both Isaka Ryohei and Taehyun Kim. Then they grabbed their things and directly ran. Isaka Ryohei said, "Since you don't believe I'm not here to fight, then I can only beat you into submission." Isaka Ryohei's aura surged dramatically, his eyes gleaming. Everyone present except Taehyun Kim was instantly killed. Taehyun Kim didn't expect Isaka Ryohei could now do this with just his killing intent. Isaka Ryohei pulled down his hat and asked if Taehyun Kim was looking for the three giants, and told Taehyun Kim to give him some time. He had intelligence Taehyun Kim wanted. However, Taehyun Kim directly used his skill to bind him. He said, "Since you're so confident, I'll give you 1 minute. But if you talk nonsense, you'll pay the corresponding price." Isaka Ryohei filled his whole body with magic power, trying to break free from the restraints. But the next moment his magic power was absorbed. Isaka Ryohei didn't expect Taehyun Kim had actually become even stronger. Seeing he couldn't win the fight, Isaka Ryohei immediately said he could take him to find the three giants. Taehyun Kim said the time was about up. Isaka Ryohei panicked and continued saying he knew where the demons were. Unexpectedly, Taehyun Kim was still counting down, with no intention of listening to him at all. The next moment, Isaka Ryohei suffered painful devouring. Before losing consciousness, he quickly knelt down begging Taehyun Kim to spare his life. Isaka Ryohei didn't expect Taehyun Kim would actually spare his life. Taehyun Kim said, "Someone who wants to kill me actually says he'll help me. Don't you think that's suspicious?" Isaka Ryohei thought about it. It did seem that way. Taehyun Kim's right eye emitted red light as he said, "Tell me, your plan and the mastermind behind it." Behind him was the succubus manifested with magic power, an expert at extracting intelligence. After listening to the hypnotized Isaka Ryohei reveal everything, Taehyun Kim said leisurely, "Isaka Ryohei, you people really have an interesting plan. You also have a contract between the Saint and the Awakener. No wonder you came to find me." Isaka Ryohei, who had regained consciousness, speculated Taehyun Kim had mastered mental-type skills. Just as Isaka Ryohei was confused, Taehyun Kim said he would cooperate with Isaka Ryohei's plan. But Taehyun Kim demanded Isaka Ryohei betray the Saint and Miyazaki Kenji and side with him. Although Isaka Ryohei was unwilling, he had no choice. However, he still wanted to struggle. He said defecting would get him killed. Taehyun Kim said if he didn't defect, he would kill Isaka Ryohei right now. Moreover, Taehyun Kim was willing to give him a chance. As long as Isaka Ryohei sided with him and always felt remorse toward the East Point victims, Taehyun Kim would help him escape from the Saint and the three giants. Isaka Ryohei said they were all national-level combatants. Could Taehyun Kim possibly defeat them? What surprised Isaka Ryohei was that Taehyun Kim said he would win. At the same time, on another side, the Demon Association's temporary base. The demons fled in terror toward the main entrance. Before they reached the exit, they were all slain by a wind-like sword energy. It was none other than Nakata Shinji, called Ghostblade in J-Country. He elegantly sheathed his sword. The entire warehouse was covered with demon corpses. Megawa Seika appeared in the doorway, continuously applauding him. Nakata Shinji asked her, "Is Isaka Ryohei really okay?" Although Isaka Ryohei was strengthened by Megawa Seika's divine revelation and became more powerful, the Awakener's contract brought risks to both parties. Nakata Shinji said again he wanted to personally fight Taehyun Kim. Megawa Seika refused his request again, because whether Taehyun Kim won or lost, it was the same to Megawa Seika. Since Taehyun Kim's target was the three giants, she sent Isaka Ryohei, who was connected to the three giants, and she also told the news to the three giants. Then she would join forces with them to deal with Taehyun Kim. Nakata Shinji still wanted to say there were many suspicious things about Taehyun Kim. The Saint spoke first. "These are all methods to test Taehyun Kim's strength, testing until Taehyun Kim uses his hidden power." Nakata Shinji was shaken. He indeed hadn't considered this issue. Megawa Seika slowly extended her hand and said, "No matter what happens to Isaka Ryohei in the end, we just need to obtain information from his corpse." After all, Isaka Ryohei, bound by the contract, had no choice. Time came to evening. The abandoned building where Miyazaki Kenji was located lit up. Miyazaki Kenji waited here with all his subordinates. Miyazaki Kenji said displeasedly, "Really, Isaka Ryohei, you're way too late." Standing before Miyazaki Kenji was none other than Isaka Ryohei, who was forced to side with Taehyun Kim. Looking at Isaka Ryohei standing there in a daze, Miyazaki Kenji asked where was Taehyun Kim he had lured over.